This podcast is brought to you by the Arate Podcast Network. Please go to aratemedia.org to see lots of podcasts from our great friends, as well as, if you want to start your own podcast, they can help you out there. That's aratemedia.org. A-R-E-T-E media.org. On with the show, Jordan?
On with the show, Justin.
Now, we're having tech issues again. But look, okay, maybe 1 week we won't. Maybe
I blame society.
It's probably their fault. Welcome to the Spur of the Moment podcast. As always, I'm your host, Justin, and I am joined vertically by my co-host, the incomparable Jordan. What is going on, Jordan?
Well, tech issues. That's what's going on. Ugh. Frustrating tech issues. Also laundry.
And laundry. But on today's show, James Gunn apparently found his Perry White. There was some AI leaked set images of the costume. They showed what the crest is going to look like. Spoiler alert, he looks like Superman. They're making
that's good. The last one didn't.
They're making a Paranormal Activity game, apparently. Tron 3, the Naked Gun.
Yeah, that was weird.
Naked Gun remake. And much more. And then later on, we're switching up the format in ways that Jordan doesn't even know. There's gonna be a big twist that Jordan's not even expecting because I didn't clear it with him prior to going live, so he has no idea what's coming. It's gonna be fun.
Fun.
Welcome to the season finale. Every season finale has a big twist. It's how these work. We need to set up for the next season. And then at the end of the show, we previously teased a big 2-part season premiere for when we come back in 2 weeks. But I will tell you officially what the 2-part topic is gonna be. Get excited. Stick with us. To start off with, I didn't actually read this article, but apparently they're announcing who's Perry White, and it is gonna be Wendell Pierce. I have no idea who that is. Moving on.
That sounds like a person.
It's definitely a person. I don't know. I didn't read the article, and I don't have time to now to know what else he was in.
So here's a fun game. You should So you should bring up who he actually is, so we actually know the answer to this question.
It's too late. I closed the page.
Based on his name, what ethnicity would you guess that he is? Do you think that they actually went with the traditional, like he's Caucasian?
He's Perry White. I don't know. I didn't actually read or look at a picture. So I would say, considering that James Gunn appears to be going for a much more traditional approach to his casting with these characters, I would say probably he's going to be Perry White, if I had to guess. I just like the fact that I don't know who he is. I'm discovering that with these castings.
That's always kind of fun.
Yeah, like I love the fact everyone's like, oh, my favorite thing was when they announced David Cornsweet as Superman, and it was like, hey, why, he just looks like Henry Cavill. Yeah, Superman. That's the one thing. That's the one thing that can be said of Henry Cavill is he looks like Superman. That's why he was hired. Wrong. He looks like Superman. I don't like his costume, but he looks like he has the jawline and the haircut. Like he looks like Superman. So yeah. But I know I'm glad for these superhero roles going forward. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'm really quite happy with it for the most part with Fantastic Four, where I like the fact that I don't know half of them, because that to me means that they're going to be in it more, right? That I want to see people are like, oh, why don't we have Robert Downey Jr.'s or like Chris Hemsworth's or like Tom Hiddleston's. Like those guys were relatively, I know people knew who Robert Downey Jr. was, but he was on the outs for the most part for Hollywood. But they hired them when they were relatively small or unknown, and then they got big. Same thing with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I want to see people who I don't know in these roles, and I'm happy that I get to do that.
I want more Kamala Khans.
Yeah, people who just come out of nowhere, who just love the thing.
Who have a passion for it and a desire to do it.
Apparently, they announced that they're doing a series of comic books. This is what happens when you don't read your stuff before you go live. They're doing a series of comic books based on the Universal monsters. And the first one they're announcing is Frankenstein, which is pretty cool, pretty interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. I like that. That's just as a peer into the future. We're going to do a Universal Monsters themed episode, I think, in the future. I came to that when I was watching the movies from this week. I was like, yeah, Yeah, I think I want to talk about Frankenstein. I want to do a big thing, watch a bunch of Frankenstein movies. So
You
that
you mean you want to talk about Frankenstein's
you
monster?
shut your face. No, no, I want to talk about the monster and Frankenstein, Jordan. That's right. You thought you got me there, but you didn't. You didn't. But
Damn.
no, there's a new one, Lisa Frankenstein, that I want to watch, and I was like, there's no better reason to than to to talk about Frankenstein. And you can pick whatever one you want. I presume you'll probably pick Dracula, but who knows? That's for a future episode for a future day. Um, they
Maybe
apparently
maybe something to do with the mummy.
maybe they announced a Dragon Ball Universe 2. They're releasing it for PlayStation 5 and whatever Xbox is currently out. And I'm like, why?
Why not just make a third
Why?
one?
Is this going to be like a director's cut scenario where like it comes built in with all the DLC, like all the DLC characters?
I mean,
Then at that
okay,
point, I'm
then
kind of interested.
at that point maybe, but
And a severe graphical update, because currently you could just download the PS4 version on PlayStation Now. Like, why? What's going to be in this? Does it say? Jordan, say what you think about this while I read this article real quick.
I think that makes no sense, and I'd rather they make a third one.
Right?
Um, like they've had so many DLCs, and it's like they've had enough DLCs that they could have just made that into another game.
It's because they keep wanting to turn it into. They want to reinvent it and they want to bring back Dragon Ball Online. That's what it is. They just continually are trying to turn it into Dragon Ball Online, because do you know that all of the bad guys and all the characters that are like that.
Yeah, I know they all originally
They all
came from
originate
that.
from Dragon Ball Online. So this is like a sequel to that. So they just like it really desperately wants to be an MMO and is like hindered and chained to the fact that it's not. Like people only really there is an audience of people who play it online, but for the most part it's people who just want to play it offline, and they're really
But I
stuck
just
to
want,
that.
yeah, I just want the story.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
want to play it online. I just want the story that it has.
Yeah, I mean they desperately want to make a live service Dragon Ball game, like so badly. They announced in a related topic, they announced season 5 of The Breakers is coming out, and now it's gonna have crossplay, so you can play it across consoles, which is like, yeah, that's the only way you're keeping that game alive. I don't know if it went free to play or not. I don't think it did. That game, the fact that they charge people money for that game at full price is a travesty. That was a free-to-play game that they slapped it on in the store for like 60 or 70 bucks. It was outrageous. You've played that game. You know it's not very good.
The one where you're getting hunted by
Yeah.
like selling stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept which is not executed very well in my opinion.
I respect it for trying something different, but the thing it tried wasn't good. And it should have
Yeah.
been free to play. That game would be much
Yeah.
more popular, and they wouldn't like the fact that it's crossplay tells me that they're like desperate for users. Like there's not nearly enough people playing this online in the individual lobby, so they're trying to bring them together to get more.
Well, I
of a-
mean, yeah, speaking as someone who I tried to play the Xenoverse 2 online, do some of the parallel missions and stuff, and do them online. And I could never find anyone to join my
No,
group.
because nobody's playing it anymore. Like, why are they? I mean, for Xenoverse anyway. The Breakers, though, you said you had problems finding people for that one as well because no one's playing it.
I had problems with that one where you would sign up to be the guy that was hunting people, and it would just automatically put you in as one of the people that's being hunted. And I was like, no, I want to be the person that's hunting people, and I could not get into that role because they're just clearly everybody would rather do that.
Yeah. Well, I've never actually. My issue with that game, I've never actually played it, but I've seen enough gameplay of it to kind of glean from it. And the thing that really bothered me about it was how the survivors have too much power. Like I watched a stream of Team 4 Star playing it, and like the person chasing like barely won, and that's half the fun in playing this thing is the person who's chasing should win. I'd say 6 to 7 out of 10 times.
I would agree.
They should win most of the time because they should be stupid, overpowered, and hard to kill. That's the point of them. That's what makes those games fun. That's why it's fun to be Jason Voorhees, because he in the Friday the 13th one, for example, because he has outrageous and dumb powers. Like that's what makes him fun. That's what makes them fun to play as. every clip I saw of it, like, yeah, they would just power up and they would get Vegeta's power and beat up the thing chasing them. And it's like, as the thing being chased, you should never have a moment where you're overpowering the thing that's chasing you in those games. That's not what the point of those games are. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to be scared and not, like, you're not supposed to be able to fight back. It's about escaping. Like, they're all varying degrees of escaping from the thing, not fighting the thing. That's not the point.
I mean,
of these games.
you don't in a horror movie, a slasher film, which is what these things are supposed to be based on. You're never successful like fighting against Jason
unless
or
it's the
Freddy
climax
or whatever.
And even
no,
then,
but this is a game where you never get to that climax.
No, you're in the beginning of it. Yeah, exactly.
You're in the beginning part of it. That's all. That's the point of those style of games.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm not surprised it went crossplay. I have an article in here with the final trailer for the new Ghostbusters movie, which I did not watch. Because I've only seen like one trailer for it, and I don't know what it is. I love Ghostbusters. I grew up watching all the cartoons, the movies. I love Ghostbusters. I played the game. I'm not excited for this. I don't know why. It's like, I don't know. It's doing a thing where it's like, we're different this time, guys. We're different. Sure, the original cast is all, and like, it's like the original cast is back for like the whole thing by the looks of it. Like the guys from the last one are back.
This is a sequel to the Afterlife, or the one with Finn
the
Wolfhard.
last one, yeah.
Okay.
Have you not seen any trailer for it yet?
I didn't even know they were making one.
Oh, I'm surprised because it was everywhere there for a bit. Yeah, it's called The Frozen Empire. Oh, I should have sent it to you then. It's called The Frozen Empire, and it's basically it's a new ghost. It's not like a guy coming back and fighting a thing that was a bad guy before. It's a new, like, he controls ice and he wants to bring about like a new winter or whatever. And it's they go back to New York, so it's in New York this time. They're all at the classic firehouse. The original cast is back for, again, they're like really heavily featured in the trailer, so it looks like they're like a main part of this. And then it's all of them from the last one.
Okay. I mean, all right.
I don't know. It's just not doing anything for me. Maybe it's because I just didn't. The last one, it just didn't. It was so manipulatively nostalgic. I'm not. I don't know what it is. It worked for me with The Force Awakens, but it didn't work for me this time. And I still stand by the fact that Egon's ghost at the end of that movie is uncool. Like, it's creepy, and if I were him, I'd be rolling in my grave. Like, I just. Jordan, I'm going to say this right now as my podcast partner. If I die famous and they want to bring me back to life, you have neither my permission nor consent to bring me back to life.
Got it. So if they want to bring you back from the dead, I should totally manipulate it and get rich off of it.
No, right now on video, on camera, you do not have my consent to do such a thing.
Right. So wink. I don't have your consent. Wink.
Okay. So in the future, I need you to know that when it says my family said it was okay, I did not say it was okay. See how this works? See how this works?
And this video and podcast was never seen again.
Yep. No, never seen again. But no, it bothers me when they were like, oh yeah, his family gave permission. Yeah, he didn't give his permission. He didn't give his permission or consent. So no, it's not okay. It's too real looking. Like, everyone shits all over
joking aside, it was creepy.
It was creepy and unsettling. And, like, it's too real looking. It's too real. And I don't know if it just dampened and it was so... And the fact that people cried over it and didn't recognize it for what it was.
Poor taste. That's the word I would use.
It just was awful. It was like, what? Yeah, ugh, I didn't like it. And I think maybe, it has soured my opinions of Ghostbusters. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it when it's on streaming one day, but I have no interest in seeking this out.
Oh, man, I'll probably watch it for free.
Yeah, exactly. I'll watch it for free.
I have like 3 free movie passes saved up.
Yeah, exactly. Superman Legacy. So they really showed the suit, and it looks like a yellow background. From what little we've seen of it, it looks like the suit. It looks cool.
I mean, it can't look much worse than the Zack Snyder
just
version.
Bright and colorful, and do the underwear. The underwear.
I mean, I could even forgive not doing the underwear if you just make it bright and primary color.
I will forgive the underwear, but I'm expecting it.
like bright and primary color.
And then they
Not
changed the
none of this muted kind of like. Yeah,
yeah.
no. Anyway, go on.
They changed the title as well. It's no longer called Superman Legacy. Instead, now it is merely called um, Superman.
Simple to
That's
the
it, simple,
point.
simple and to the point. Yeah, absolutely simple and to the point. I'm for it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Um,
Um,
I I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
um, so yeah, Tron Ares. Um,
Yeah, that's a thing.
it's the third Tron movie, but it
That
doesn't have
surprised me.
anyone coming back from the previous one, including the people who made it, directed it, wrote it. It doesn't have any of the stars returning, but it's still stealing the. Because so basically, what it's about is, did you see the image where it's the him and he's all red?
I
And stuff?
saw there was a red. Yeah, there was
Yeah,
a red.
it looks cool. I mean, it's Jared Leto, so it's gonna be shit, but it looks cool. But apparently, what it's gonna be about is Jared Leto is gonna play the character Ares, and it's a manifestation of a program that becomes sentient and crosses over into the human world, which is what was implied was gonna happen at the end of the last one. So it's like this wants to take off from the last one, but not include any of the characters, unless maybe like a twist in the third act, Garrett Hedlund and Olivia Wilde just show up and they're in the real world now. But coming to the real world is so counterintuitive to me. Unless it's gonna be like the Tron stuff comes to the real world, but they're still like Tron like it still has the aesthetic. Because without the aesthetic, it's not Tron.
Yeah, so I mean, it could be that like yeah, the all because it could be that this intelligent AI or whatever comes to our world, and then because he has all the information of how to like build the computer stuff, he then starts to build the computer stuff in the real world. Maybe
Maybe. And it sounds
I
like
don't know.
he's the bad guy. So is it like, are
Pardon
other
me.
Tron people gonna come to our world and like fight him? Like I just don't. On its face, I don't like that plot description. It doesn't
I
sound like Tron
I
to me.
just yeah, I don't really think it caught me completely left field because I was like
Oh, I know it's coming.
I didn't really the way the last one ended. Where do you go from there?
That was supposed to. That was supposed to be. The idea was that they would go to the real world and yeah, they were gonna end up fighting. The MCP was gonna come back, and they were gonna do a thing with because oh the what's his name? He was in Oppenheimer. The guy who played Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy.
Oh,
Cillian Murphy.
Scarecrow.
Yeah, he's in it, uncredited as the son of the CEO, who's the bad guy in the
Yeah,
first one.
he's in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, so he was gonna come back as the bad guy in the next one, and it was gonna be in the real world, and it was gonna be like he was the bad guy.
Okay.
So this has taken.
I wouldn't have gotten that would have been a thing from the end of the way the movie ends.
Apparently,
But
there's like a deleted scene that further sets it up. But this has clearly taken elements of that. So they were always going to make a third one. It was in the works for years, and it was going to be Garrett Hedlund and Olivia Wilde were going to come back, and I think Jeff Bridges was going to come back. And it was going to be Tron Legacy 2, and it was very specifically going to be a sequel. And then it tanked at the box office. It didn't do a ton, and then it kept coming back into the consciousness. I've seen they're going to make Tron Legacy 2 a bunch of times, and then they announced it as Tron Ares with Jared Leto, and then we were like, oh yeah, it was pre-Morbius, and then Morbius tanked, and it was like, well, he's kind of like an anchor when it comes to movies. He sinks them. So people assumed that it got canceled, but sure as shit.
It kind of surprises me that they're doing a movie, like that they're making it into a movie. This feels more like an example of like your RoboCop game where you turn this into a video game story.
Or I can't believe it's a movie and not a Disney Plus series.
And then or that, yeah. But like if you make it into a game. And then people are kind of like, okay, yeah, you didn't get any of the original people back for the game.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is weird. It seems like it's Tron Ares, so it's just like reeking of it's a spin-off. It's a spin-off. But they're definitely trying to pretend that it isn't, that it is Tron 3. so that people will show up to it because they see it as clearly see it as a legacy brand, which I would argue it's not. But people didn't know. There's people out there who didn't know that Tron Legacy was a sequel. I've seen so many TikToks of people being like, "Did you know that Tron Legacy is a sequel?" Yes, it's called Tron Legacy. What did you think it was the
obvious?
legacy of? Like, is that obvious? Like, are you kidding me? I had to make a video of that to that tone of like, what? How did people not get that that's a sequel? So yeah, it's a really niche franchise that I don't think many people really fully know in the way that like we do because we're weird.
I mean, also to be fair, people could have been like, "Wow, it's the legacy of that awful like animated show that came out. Like it's the continuation of that."
No, that awful animated show was after Tron Legacy. That was created in tandem. It was meant to promote it.
Well, never mind.
That's funny you bring up the terrible Tron show. I completely forgot about that. It was a terrible, terrible show. Oh,
I mean,
they were going for stylized, but none of it looked right.
Yeah,
the art style was horrendous.
That was my thing. The story wasn't bad.
I don't
necessarily.
I think I watched like half of one episode and I hated the art style so much. I was like, it doesn't look like Tron. Like the thing Tron is known for is its aesthetic, and it's very easy to replicate. Like I don't understand why supplemental material has such difficulty replicating the aesthetic when it's a very easy aesthetic to replicate.
I'll never get it.
So more on those Beatles biopics, the 4 Beatles biopics that are coming out, that we were like, what's the deal? Apparently, they're all coming out in the same year. The same year.
I mean, there's no way that it's not leading up to an Avengers level a Beatles movie where it's all of them together, right?
Well, someone I heard this on a podcast where they talked about we didn't talk about this, and it was like, oh yeah, what do you think about it? The logistics of this is insane. 4 separate productions, so you obviously there's gonna be crossover because they're all gonna cross over with each other. So you're gonna have 4 different guys playing the Beatles in 4 different movies that all like that's how is that gonna work? Like they said they don't think it's gonna remain 4 movies. It's gonna by the end of the production turn and amorphize into one big movie or a mini series. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we said.
I still say the miniseries is your best move.
Absolutely. The straight to streaming miniseries, like the 8-episode, 10-episode miniseries, would suit this way better than 4 weirdly produced movies. But hey, look, maybe this will be like a legacy thing. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
They announced. I didn't mean to close that. They announced that they're making, or at least they're working on, a Naked Gun remake. Which my question is, how do you do Naked Gun, or even maybe should you do Naked Gun without the juice? How do you do it without O.J. Simpson, Jordan? He's such an intro. No, I'm totally kidding. I bet you didn't even know that O.J. Simpson was in those movies.
I'm not sure that I've ever seen those movies.
No, how do you do Naked Gun? I haven't seen them. I don't think I've seen them in their entirety. But no, the question is how do you do Naked Gun without Leslie Nielsen? I don't think you can. I don't think not to the near same degree. Unless you're gonna do. The only way I would do it is I would do like a Baywatch style where it's like it's loosely adapted, or like a Starsky and Hutch where it's like it's loosely adapted on it, but it's like we're doing it as like an R-rated comedy. It's more modern comedic sensibilities, and it's like a remake in name only. Because yeah, how do you do Naked Gun without how would you do a remake of Airplane without Leslie Nielsen? Like how you can't. There's no way.
You just don't. You find a different actor and write a different set of circumstances and then quickly realize that you've created a movie that has absolutely nothing to do with the original thing that you were trying to base it on, and you put a different name on it.
You have no idea who Leslie Nielsen is, do you?
I am pretending desperately like I do, but nope, no image is coming to mind at this moment. I don't know what the movie you're talking about is. I don't know what the actor that you're talking about is. I have been yes-anding you so hard, but I'm sorry. There's just nothing there.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to play. You don't know what the Naked Gun is? Naked Gun is
not by name. Not by name.
It's Leslie Nielsen. What do you know Leslie Nielsen from?
Yeah, exactly. What do I?
He's like a really prolific comedic actor. He was in a bunch of the.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure I would know him
Um,
immediately if I saw him.
he was in
But
a bunch of those scary movies. He usually played the dad. He was in the one that's
oh,
a
is he the one? Is he the one who like he has the tiny baby hand in Scream?
no. Have you seen the one where I've seen clips of it where it's like the parody of Spider-Man and it's Drake Bell and he's like a dragonfly man?
He's the green and blue.
Yeah, green and black, but yeah, he's a dragonfly guy. Well, Leslie Nielsen is the Uncle Ben in that, and he shoots him with the nail gun. No, when we're done, I will show you Leslie Nielsen. You know who he is. I know you do,
I'm
but
looking him up. Oh, him. Okay.
yeah, cop movie, Airplane. Shirley, you
Yeah,
can
I
land
don't
this
think.
plane. Don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, I definitely know him. I just can't specifically think of something that I've seen
Yeah,
him
it's one
in.
of those ones that that you know him. You know him from stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, I do. It's
Also,
just
also that little interaction is definitely going to be a short. Uh, uh,
I assumed
uh,
I assumed it was.
it's going to be so much work to edit this. Anyway, so apparently, um, Skyrim is okay. You want to know why they keep re-releasing Skyrim for until the day that we all die in a
Because
massive
people keep
fiery
buying it.
explosion? It's because yeah, people keep buying it. Apparently, it has massively outperformed Starfield, their newest game on Steam. So people are still playing and buying Skyrim. Stop
That's
it!
me. That's
Stop
because
buying Skyrim.
that's because on PC and Steam and stuff, people have modded it so much that they have essentially made an entirely new game out of it.
But
Like there's so many mods, and so yeah, I mean, why wouldn't they just keep printing money?
no. I'm doing this right now. I'm doing this right now. We're gonna double with this. Okay. Number one, stop buying. Oh, sorry. Let's try this again. Number one, stop buying Skyrim. Stop it. Stop it. Stop letting them port it for 1,000 times. And number two, stop buying Xenoverse 2 DLC. Stop it. You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. You can't see because it's an audio. For our audio listeners, Jordan's making he's pointing aggressively. We're both pointing aggressively. You're a problem.
You're a problem.
You're a problem.
You're a real problem.
I would like to play Starfield though. It's basically, from what I heard, Skyrim in space.
Oh yeah. Maybe one day if it's on PlayStation 5, maybe I'll buy it one day.
That'd be fun. But some people say it's bad. Some people
But
say it's
first,
good. I don't know what to believe.
but first, I have to buy the Final Fantasy VII remake.
Yeah, I'm currently playing. I'm stuck. Currently, I can't figure out where to go. But I'm replaying Final Fantasy VII for our special 2-part premiere. That's maybe a hint for what the 2-part premiere is going to be about. Stay tuned to find out what that is.
I'm just playing it for fun.
I have a topic for the first part of the 2-part that I'm going to talk about, and I'm hoping to get through it before then. I don't think I'm gonna, but we're gonna try. Joy, did you know? Fun bit of movie trivia factoid for you. Did you know that Inception was originally planned as a horror movie? Says Christopher Nolan.
Interesting.
I knew
can
that
see it.
actually. That I did know that. He has said that before, and that the reason why it changed because of the idea of going into people's dreams he thought was inherently frightening. But from what I recall, he said it was too similar to not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. It was
yeah.
starting to seem too similar to Nightmare on Elm Street, so he changed it to be a heist movie that involved going into your dreams, which I think turned out better because I like Inception.
I do
I
too.
think that's a
I
good
like
movie.
Inception.
Was he in a dream? Was he not? Who knows? Christopher Nolan.
I
I don't even think he knows.
I like that. I like that movie. It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. So she has confirmed Moana 2 is coming. And the girl who plays Moana, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I don't want to butcher it, so I'm not gonna. She has announced that she's returning for Moana 2 to voice Moana.
Moana 2, the thing that was going to be a Disney Plus show that they have Frankenstein into a movie.
Oh, you heard that, did you? We didn't talk about that when it first came up, but yeah,
and
I've since heard that.
apparently originally in all the footage that they had, Dwayne Johnson and the girl who plays Moana were not coming back,
No, it's
and
two
they
completely different voice actors.
when they turned it into a movie, they agreed to come back. Like that's why they turned it into a movie.
Yeah,
And so then they had to reshoot a bunch of stuff.
yeah. Well, not reshoot, but they had to reconfigure it into a movie, cut a bunch of stuff because
Well, reshoot in the way that they already had those other voice
yeah,
actors
they
do
had
a
to they
bunch
had
of
to
it,
bring
and
him
now
in and redub it. Yeah, because yeah, it was so. This
yeah,
is basically the theatrical equivalent to and I
a
talked
straight to DVD movie.
not even just the straight to DVD movie, but the straight to DVD movie that's just the first 3 episodes of the show to sell the
Yep,
show. And I guarantee you, they probably left enough of it out so they can still do the show. I would not be surprised if that happened.
prob- probably.
And that, I mean that's happened with this Megamind movie that came out that I've seen reviews
Yeah,
start popping up for. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's
that's just
bad." And this one guy
that's
was like,
disappointing.
I stitched this video up. This one guy was like, "Oh, I think they overestimated how much people wanted a sequel to Megamind," and it's like that's super disingenuous because this isn't a sequel to Megamind. It's a straight to DVD movie that's there to sell a TV show.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's an hour and a half long pilot.
Or as I like to call it, it's a sellout.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like I mean, to be fair, they used to do them all the time. Like, and some of them were good. Like they did one for Gargoyles. That's like the first 6 episodes, and it's a full movie. And when you watch it on the show, it plays out like a movie, and it's quite good. Like some of them are okay. I am in the probably small minority who likes Lion King 2. No, Lion King 2 doesn't set up a likes Return of Jafar. That was a pilot for the show.
Yeah, I like that one too.
But yeah,
But to be fair, that one, the reason why that one, in my opinion, is more successful than a lot of them was because it got with the exception of Robin Williams, all of the original
yeah,
voices back.
and also I think that one was originally gonna be a theatrical movie, and then they turned it into a TV show pilot. I don't think it started its life as a TV show pilot, but apparently it's out there.
I honestly don't know.
When they put out the show, they put out that movie as episodes of the show. I'm like a multi-parter. Yeah, I've never been able to find instances of it. I don't think I'm pretty sure the show's still not on Disney Plus, right?
No, as far as I
No,
know, it's not.
I'd heard it was a big licensing issue with the guys who animated it. That's why it hasn't
Interesting.
come. Yeah. But yeah. Apparently, when they first started airing it, they aired that movie as several episodes of the show of the pilot.
Huh.
So apparently, there is a paranormal activity game in the works at Dread XP. I don't know who Dread XP is, but that I thought was kind of interesting because I'm like, at first I was like, what would a paranormal activity game even be? And then I thought more
You,
about it, and I was like, Five Nights at Freddy's.
do you play? Oh, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I was gonna say, do you play as the ghost or whatever, and you get to haunt people?
That
Because
would be
that'd be
fun.
fun.
That'd be fun. No, they'd try to find a way to replicate seeing the cameras, like because
Yeah,
that's kind of what made Paranormal Activity unique in retrospect. It was a found footage movie, but instead of it being from like a handy cam, like most found footage movies had been at that point, it was like a still security style image that was stationary. So you got to see more of the movie, and it gave it more of a real feel. So like, yeah, they would just do that. They would make it so you can control and like switch between cameras. So I was like, yeah, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. Like
probably.
that's what
But
I would do.
my secret hope is that you get to play as the demon or whatever, and you get to haunt
I mean, that
people.
would just be a fun game, period, where you play as like a ghost that's haunting people, and you just fuck with them. You have to like
That would be a delightful time.
somebody make
No,
that
no,
game.
no to self. Make that game in the future.
Somebody make that game in the future.
Put it on a shirt.
Put it on a friggin' shirt. Put it on a shirt. It's the guy who is playing, and I should say, in news that will surprise nobody or should surprise nobody. The gentleman who is playing the thing said that he's pretty sure that the thing will be motion captured, which just kind of makes sense because that's what Marvel does. They're already motion capturing Hulk people. It just makes sense they're gonna motion capture. They're not gonna put him in a rubber suit like the last guy. Not the last guy.
No.
The guy before that. The first guy.
No. Yeah.
But
No,
that having been
I
said,
mean, maybe they would, but
that
no,
having been
they
said
wouldn't.
though, I think I personally think that the Fantastic Four movie should just be go for broke, and we've talked about this. Be a multiverse thing. Have the Council of Reeds in there, and bring back Michael Chiklis in the rubber suit. Just do it. Just
Absolutely, I
do it.
want that.
Don't do him CGI. Don't be like, don't do what you did. The worst thing. And I get why he was like, I don't want to wear the mask. But the worst thing, in my opinion, they did in No Way Home is not put Willem Dafoe in a CGI goblin costume. No, but take the time, get him there for an afternoon, put him in the suit. That's all I'm saying. Put him in the suit.
And yeah, have the Council of Reed Richards, have the original movie dude, have John Krasinski come back and cameo for a
Yeah,
scene.
exactly.
Have the like our version of Reed is the the movie version or whatever. And maybe have like one or two other random ones. I don't know.
Get the
That could be
one.
fun.
Get the one from the I'm totally blanking on the name. Roger Corman. Get the one from the Roger Corman movie. That's the very first Fantastic Four movie. Yeah, do that. Get the Roger Corman one. Get him in there. That was going to be the rumor that they were going to get John Krasinski in a cupboard one more time, with CGI to do a random cameo one more time. Yeah, I think
definitely don't just do a thing where you have like the Kang effect where it's seven of the same actor.
No, that'd be
like
boring. I'm sure they regret that now. I'm sure they do.
As like
it was so weird.
It's an easy way to do it, I guess, but it's lame.
It was so weird because they had every opportunity with No Way Home to be like, variants all look different. Here's our way of recasting anyone at any time. And then they did Ant-Man 3, and we're so sure of Jonathan Majors at the time, they were like, no, he's all the same guy. He's all the same guy.
Yeah.
We fucked ourselves. We shot ourselves firmly in the foot. He is all the same guy.
Because they didn't want to pay for multiple actors. They wanted to pay for one actor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to just come in for an afternoon and do a post-credit.
Yeah.
That's why the next one is going to be a CGI character. Apparently Ryan Gosling is going to sing "I'm Just Ken" at the Oscars, which good. I'm disappointed that that Peaches didn't get nominated for Best Song for that exact reason. Because Jack Black deserves a chance to sing that song at the Oscars wearing the Bowser suit.
Peaches.
No, it's too much. Copyright, Jordan. Copyright.
Peaches.
We didn't. I don't know if you ended up seeing them, but we didn't talk about this last week. That they pitched a Batman Beyond movie to Warner Brothers, and they released.
We briefly mentioned it to each other.
Yeah, they released the concept art for it, and it's made by the guys who made Spider-Verse. And I don't think I ever showed it to you, but it looks good. It looks as though it were Batman, but a Spider-Verse movie. And it's like Batman Beyond is kind of the perfect universe for those guys. Like, I think that would be a great movie for them, a great universe to play in. And yeah, Warner Brothers needs to get more comfortable with doing, Marvel realized that they could have multiple versions of Spider-Man, and the audience isn't stupid. That they'll like the version of it that they like, and you don't have to specify that this is the this is the Spider-Man. Like, you can have multiples. And they accept that with Batman and do a Batman Beyond movie. Apparently they took it to them and they were like, no, we are in no way interested in this. And they were like, well, it's here if you want it. And they opted instead to do, and I am excited for this. I do think this is going to be fun, to do an adaptation of the Jurassic League, which is exactly what it sounds. It's what if the Justice League were dinosaurs?
Okay. All right. So, what are each of them? Do we know?
We do.
Is Superman a T-Rex?
He is not in the comic anyway. He is a Brachiosaurus. Batman is an Allosaurus. Wonder Woman is a Triceratops, and that's all it says.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, a goddess from a lost city defends the truth. The Tyrannosaurus dons the visage of a bat to strike fear into evildoer's heart. The official book synopsis reads. I am so into this. You have no idea.
I'm down. I'm down.
My thing is, like, if I had a nickel for every superhero movie where the Justice League were animals, we'd have two nickels, which is not a lot, but it's weird it happened twice.
Two nickels.
Yeah,
What's the other one?
they made that animated movie, the League of Super Pets, where it was Krypto
Oh,
the Super
oh,
Dog and
right,
Bat
right, right,
Hound,
right,
and they all wound up with superpowers. It's not.
right, right.
I watched it once and I barely remember it. It was that forgettable. But it was the Rock and Kevin Hart.
Okay, interesting. I don't
Um,
think I've seen that one.
it's it's uh it's yeah. I didn't pay enough attention to it to that's it. It failed the phone test pretty immediately because it was like, yeah, this is just a pretty by the numbers animated affair. It's all right, I guess. Uh, anyway, that wraps up the news. Jordan, our outro for the news. It's still not good, but that was the news. Moving on to the sponsor of our podcast. We forgot to mention it up top. Oh no. Oh no, but that's okay because this podcast, this episode today is sponsored by, you know what, before we say who it's sponsored by, Jordan, let me ask you a question. Have you ever said to yourself, I'm the greatest at anything? Have you ever been like, I'm the greatest at this task? What task do you
I
think you're the
mean,
greatest at, Jordan?
I am the greatest at self-doubt, anxiety, and self-loathing.
So
And you know what? TrophySmack.com could probably make a trophy that would help me celebrate
It's
that.
true. They could make you a big toilet trophy that tells you how much of a loser you are. I'm kidding. That's a joke. Not about the trophies, though. Not about the trophies.
The trophies are very real, and not only trophies, but they have belts, they have rings, they have wall art, they have a lot, and they
And
do fantasy sports leagues, they do real sports leagues. Justin, what else do they do?
I mean, if you got a corporate event, they've got if you got a son or a daughter who has a little league game, you can get them a trophy. You can get them a belt that tells them they're 1,000 times better than all the other children on the playground. You can do that if you click our link in the description and you go to trophysmack.com. Very important though, you have to click our link to do so. Please buy a trophy from them. They're good.
Please.
They're good trophies. I'm telling you, I've seen them. There may be one coming in the future that we can show. There may be. Who knows? Who knows? It might be coming in the mail. Who knows? Who knows? Who can say? But if you go there and you use our link, that tells them that we sent you and that we're their friends. And you could be our friends. You can help the podcast. You can fix Jordan's vertical camera issues. You can get us in the same room if you go to trophysmack.com using our link. Thanks once again to them for sponsoring the show. Jordan,
Thank you.
Shall we move on to our special season finale book reports?
I think we shall.
Now.
Make it so, number one.
Now. Oh, rapid fire. We gotta do rapid fire. Jordan, while I pull up my list of movies, what is your first rapid fire?
Well, my rapid fires this week, they had to go with the theme that you presented me. So the first one is called Waiting, and it has Ryan Reynolds in it. Now, anyone who has ever worked in a restaurant should watch this movie because while it does take it to an exaggerated level, there's a lot of like, yeah, no, that's the descriptions of some of these people are very, very like you've met someone like that.
I've never watched it, but I've definitely heard that about it. For me, that's like Clerks 2, where if you've ever worked fast food in your life, you need to watch Clerks 2. That's just what it's like. Certain elements of the movie removed, but just the notion of like, yeah, a lot of this job is standing around and saying inappropriate things out of earshot of people who shouldn't hear you saying them. Like that's what a lot of these jobs are, and that's half the fun of them. It's just hanging out with your friends, fucking with people too stupid to realize you're fucking with them.
Right. And there's a lot of jokes in there that it's like you and I have integrated some of them into our life without you even being aware that it came from this movie because of a mutual friend of ours.
Yeah, right.
Was a big fan of this movie. So that's my first rapid fire is Waiting. It's a good movie. You should watch it.
Sorry, I'm just looking at my list. I don't have a ton of rapid fire this week, but I also tied it in to my theme, which will become evident as these go on. But my first rapid fire is a movie called Freaky, which is the Blumhouse group, did a series of movies where it was basically like, what if classic 80s movie were a slasher movie and people died brutally? So they did a few. They did Happy Death Day, and they did this. This is Freaky. So this is What If Freaky Friday, but also Friday the 13th. So it's basically like Jason Voorhees and a girl get swapped. They get swapped instead of yeah. And it's got all the hair marks, herrings, whatever, earmarks of
the tropes.
Tropes, thank you. Of a slasher flick, everything. So a lot of the characters, like a lot of the bad guys, are like, I said that they're proportionately evil to how likely they are to get killed. So like, there's a teacher who's like cartoonishly evil, and you're like, yeah, he's dead. He's gonna die. And they're so over the top evil, so you don't feel bad when they get brutally killed. But it's really funny. Catherine Newton, it gives a great performance as both the girl and the killer. And Vince Vaughn is the killer. He's the Jason Voorhees. And you're like, wait. And it's brutal. Like, there's some really like sick kills where like there's one where he like breaks a tennis racket in half and like a guy in the head. And it's like, it's brutal for Vince Vaughn. And you're like, oh, why is he doing this? Why is he doing this surprisingly brutal role? And then you remember there's the part of the movie where he's got to be a teenage girl. And he's so good as the teenage girl. Like, you fully believe that he is a teenage girl, that he is this girl, and you fully believe. It's unsettling when the girl is around people, and yeah, the kills are brutal. And it's just it's quite a funny movie. It used to be on Crave, it's not anymore. I had to seek it out other places. But it's good. It's definitely, I really am enjoying these these classic tropes with like a twist to them. There's one that's quite fun where it's the same idea, but it's What If Back to the Future, but with a serial killer. That's on Amazon Prime. That's quite good. But yeah, it's good. That's my first one. That's my first rapid fire.
So it's funny that you watched a Vince Vaughn as one of your rapid fire, because one of my rapid fire also features Vince Vaughn, but it ties into the other theme you gave me, which is Jon Favreau, who is in this one, and it's called Couples Retreat. Couples Retreat, I believe. Retreat,
yeah, that's another one we quote constantly.
We quote that one. We quoted that one in this very show. Your problem.
Your problem.
Your real problem.
My favorite bit is the one which we can't do on the podcast because it's weird. But I love how the yoga instructor, how we took his bit and made it more gross. Like,
yes,
like we made it more disgusting. We're not going to do it here.
We have definitely adopted that one.
Yep.
But there's a lot of jokes in that one and a lot of funny moments. It's a funny movie. And Jon Favreau in that one, I'm pretty sure that was that was like, it might have been before Iron Man or around the time of the first Iron Man, but it's very strange to see him in that role versus like the roles he kind of later became. But funny movie.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, that's one of those ones where Jon Favreau did a series of movies where he just plays the slummy, shitty best friend. Like, yeah. And then that was sort of the era where he realized, I like directing more. I don't like being in front of the camera so much. I like being behind it more. I like just doing the occasional couple days a week as Happy Hogan, and I'm good with that. That's as much as I want to be on camera. Okay, so that was Couples Retreat. So my next one, which is the inspiration with which all of these are based on, which is the original, not the original, but Freaky Friday, the Lindsay Lohan Freaky Friday, which is always fun and weird, and like my one of the parts of that movie that made me laugh is the poor kid who, like, his mom is just, he doesn't know what's happening. His mom is just mean to him out of nowhere for a couple of days. Like, yeah, remember that point? Remember that point in my childhood where you were just really out of character and mean to me for like a few days?
It's like you were my sister.
That's like, and I know they said that they swapped bodies, but like, that doesn't make sense, right? That's crazy, right? Like, it's ironic that you're a therapist, Mom, because I'm going to be talking to one later. And it's just, I love that one because a thing with these body swap movies. That's my theme, by the way. He selected a body swap movie for my pick. But The thing with these body swap movies is they follow a certain formula of you see the person's life, you see the other person's life. They all have specific idiosyncrasies or like body movements or things that they can do that the other person can replicate, and then they swap. And this one, I love this one because as these got newer, they all feel the need to explain the switch or how the switch happens or where the switch comes from. Whereas this one, it's vague. And it's like, yeah, the grandma, the grandma at the Chinese restaurant, she gives them the fortune cookies, but it's not explained where she gets the fortune cookies from. The other lady at the Chinese restaurant seems to be aware of the fortune cookies, but it's not really explained, and it's fine. It's fine. You don't need it to.
It's just crazy Asian magic.
You don't need it explained. It doesn't waste its time. But yeah, that's Freaky Friday. Also, real quick, Freaky Friday. Thing I looked up about that movie, I was like, there's no way Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis are actually playing guitar for this movie. Fun fact, they did. They did learn how to play the guitar for their movies. They didn't do the solo that they do in the movie, but they learned how to play.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was driving me crazy the whole movie. Sorry. Go on.
My next rapid fire, and it's going to be my second to last, is Free Guy.
It's fun. That one was fun, but that was very much where I was like, I wish the people who wrote movies about video games would just play one video game. Just one video game.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that thought process.
That's all I remember about it.
But it's still fun.
Oh, it's fun. It's catchphrase.
It's
that's another one I quote. Catchphrase.
Witty comment. Witty response. There's a lot of fun references in it. You know, like Captain America, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Hulk hands. He definitely came into contact with Disney and was allowed to use all of the properties.
Oh, for sure, yeah. That was the one that made me go like that because the guy who this is where Sean Levy, the director who directed it, and Ryan Reynolds, this is where they met. And this was this one and the Adam Project definitely together, but this was the one that made his action sequences are tight, like they're easy to see, to follow, they're clean, like they look good. I'm cool with him doing Deadpool 3. Like, if Deadpool 3 looks half as good as this does.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree with that.
Like, writing and acting aside, just it looks good.
Yeah. It's bright and it's colorful and it's an enjoyable movie. And that's Free Guys.
So my last one, I gave him Ryan Reynolds movies. And so I watched a Ryan Reynolds movie last night because it pertained to body swapping, and that was The Change Up, which is like, it's funny because it's pre-Deadpool, so he's still doing shitty like comedies, and it's all right. I find that these movies like live or die on the actor's ability to capture the other person. So it's like if I close my eyes and I imagine the other actor saying the words that they're saying, does it work? Oh no, sorry, I have two more. Sorry, does it work? And in this case, it just didn't. I just didn't believe that Jason Bateman was Ryan Reynolds, and I didn't believe that Ryan Reynolds was Jason Bateman. And yeah, there's just a lot of like the writing of it. They try to bypass the idea of like trying to convince the person or trying to hide the fact that they swapped just by having them go to the guy's wife and be like, yeah, we switched bodies. And then she doesn't believe him, but continues to question why he's being weird and different, despite the fact that he told you. He told you why he's weird. He said it. He said they switched bodies. He could not have been more clear with you. It's not his fault you chose not to listen. Like you can't get upset with him when you chose not to listen. Like,
I mean, okay, maybe the first little bit I could understand you being like, no, that's impossible. What you're talking crazy. You're screwing with me. But after like, you know, you get a certain amount of leeway time, and then after that, it's like, no, they told you, and you're now willfully ignoring that.
What makes this one different too, that compared to the other ones, is this one takes place over several days. Like at least maybe a week. Most of these body swap movies only take place over the course of a day. Like Freaky Friday, Freaky, the Family Switch, which is the last one I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
Um,
like a day or two.
yeah, they take place over. No, you almost always a day. Like Freaky Friday is one day, Freaky's one day, and Family Switch is one day. Like all the body swap movies I watched were. Oh no, that's not true. Um, Face Off was over multiple days, but that's not so much a body swap anyway. Um,
That's a face swap.
yeah, so it's like, yeah, you've been with him for a number of days. If you're not like, it's weird that he's acting like this, and they've known Mitch, the Ryan Reynolds' character, like their whole lives. So like he knows him just as well as the husband. So you should clue in that that's Mitch at a certain point. There's no excuse. So you don't have any more. You don't have any more.
No, I have one more.
Okay, good. You do have one more. Perfect. That's the change up.
My last one is Deadpool. Of course.
Deadpool.
I have Ryan Reynolds. I had to talk about at least the first
The
Deadpool.
little movie that could, man. That thing.
Like, it's fantastic. He is Deadpool. Like, especially at this point, it's really funny if you go and you go to his Ryan Reynolds IMDb. It says that he has like 127 like things that he's done.
Yeah.
And most of them, a good chunk of them, are just Deadpool things. Deadpool shorts.
Yep.
Deadpool movies. Appearances as Deadpool. Commercials where he was Deadpool.
He's got no problem
Deadpool.
He's got a
he will put that costume on for anything.
Yeah, he's got it in his closet. He'll put it on for literally anything. Yeah, the marketing for these,
like,
I cannot wait for the marketing
it.
to kick in for Deadpool 3. Like fully kick
so
in.
Exciting.
It's like by like, yeah, April, June, we're gonna see some great skits with Hugh Jackman and him. Like, yeah, everyone who is disappointed we didn't get to see Wolverine, don't worry. I'm sure they've got like a shit ton of skits and whatever, like all filmed and ready to go, and like, yeah, and he loves that character. That's a character I feel like we should be more sick of than we are.
But we're not, because he's great and
it's not
awesome.
It's not even that he's great. It's that he knows that too much of that character would become annoying, and he puts him out just the correct amount. It's unbelievable to me that we're just getting Deadpool 3. Like, that he took his time to be like, okay, no, let's let this breathe for a bit so that people will be excited to see this character come back. Like,
he's also smart enough to realize that, like, he needs to pace it away from the other from other superhero projects as much as he can, so people aren't browbeaten when it comes out and they're actually excited again.
I do stand by it. They absolutely should have made that. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was the Deadpool one. No, it might have been the Howard the Duck one. But there was a Deadpool. No, it was the Deadpool. It was they were gonna make an animated Deadpool series, and it was gonna be written by Donald Glover.
Interesting.
Yeah, you know who Donald Glover is?
I recognize the name.
He is the Prowler in the...
Oh, yeah. I know who that is. Okay.
Yeah, he was supposed to write it. And I don't know if he was going to be Deadpool, because the animatic they released was just audio from the movie, like put over just an animatic. But it looked cool, and it looked really good. That and the Howard the Duck show written by Kevin Smith. That is a travesty that never came out. If anybody was more suited to write Howard the Duck, it was Kevin Smith. That would have been so good, and I'm so upset that never happened.
So one thing that I noticed with a lot of the Ryan Reynolds movies is he has a very particular kind of style where a lot of his stuff is him talking like this, where he kind of just goes into a thing. And then he does that upward inflection in his voice where he talks like this, and that's a lot of what he does.
I mean,
and so when he I'm doing a terrible impression.
That wasn't bad, actually. That wasn't bad.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, it wasn't bad. That was like Jason Bateman, where Jason Bateman he does this, right, where he emphasizes what he's doing, right, buddy, right. We're Jason Bateman, we're Jason, you know.
And so the reason why I bring this up is because then when he goes and he does something which isn't comedy, like the voices, like one of the ones you've given me. Spoiler alert. It's very much reminds me of when you take Robin Williams' outward energy and you put him into a movie like 24-hour or 2-hour photo. It very much reminds me of that, where it's like when you take that outward energy and you put it in, like you aim it in a different direction.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh boy. Anyways, that's a little bit of a preview for what's to come.
So my
That's my last one.
My final rapid fire, because it's the season finale. We're changing it up. We're adding new rules, and for the final one, final rapid fire, I picked a movie I hadn't seen because Jordan was like body swap movies, and I've wanted to watch this movie for a bit. I kept seeing previews for it. I'm like, it looks fun. Here's an excuse to do so. It's a movie called Family Switch, and the basic premise of this is it's a body swap movie. It's a body switch movie, except for instead of two people switching, four people switch. So the whole family switches. So the son swaps with the dad, the mom swaps with the daughter, and then the baby swaps with the dog. And there's a really funny scenes where it's the dog is the baby, and so the dog is extra smart because he's a baby. But the baby, and they've because they're trying to like solve the body swap stuff, they leave the neighbor with the dog and the baby to babysit and dog sit, and he's basically like, you need to have your dog and baby spend less time together. But that one was like, yeah, they weren't doing the girl was doing an okay job capturing Jennifer Garner, but the kid, he wasn't doing a great job. It's Ed Helms and Jennifer Garner and two kids who I don't know their names. But the kid wasn't really capturing Ed Helms for me. He wasn't really getting it until he did this face where it was like, that's Ed Helms. But this is one where the premise of it is they are all going, they're like, they've all fallen apart and the family's not spending time together and they've all become disillusioned. They're all upset with each other. The daughter doesn't believe that the mom believes in her, and it's all a big miscommunication that could be solved by talking to each other for 5 seconds. And
as is the way
with most of these body swap movies, yes. And they wind up, there's a big planetary alignment, and they wind up at this planetarium, and there's like a lady, Eastern European lady, who is like hinted that she's a witch or whatever, but it's never directly stated. And they get zapped by the planetary alignment, and that's how they all get swapped. And that's where I mean, where it's like there's a huge climax of they have to fix the telescope, otherwise they're going to be stuck together. And it's the same thing with Freaky, where it's like the whole thing is like he stabs her with a magic knife, and that's what causes them to. And there's always like a ticking clock of like, if they don't swap back for a certain time, then they're going to be stuck this way forever. And I like Freaky Friday, at least the Lindsay Lohan version, because it doesn't have that. It doesn't have a ticking clock. Right. You just swap back when the lesson is learned. Like there's no, and that's fine. That's fine. You don't need a dangling ticking clock, a sword of Damocles. Like you don't need that. You don't need to explain why they're going to swap back. These movies are about learning a lesson and seeing each other's lives for what they are. You could just have the moment where they just swap back at the end. Like that's all you need. So that was rapid fire. That was our rapid fire. Now, in the further switching up at the formula, normally it is tradition to go with Jordan's picks first. But being that Jordan didn't pick his own picks this week, we're going to go with his picks first. And Jordan, you're going to go through each one, and you're going to say what movie you picked, starting with the ones I had seen. And I'm going to go first to switch it up for the season finale. So, what is the first movie you would like me to talk about? Oh, and we're going to do this interview style. So, ask me questions about what I thought about each of the respective things that you picked. So... What
okay. Which one would you like to talk about first?
Dealer's choice. Do you remember the ones that you picked?
No.
No?
I'm having that issue right now. You've put me on the spot. I wish you had prepared me for this. I would have had the list-wise open.
You picked 2 body swap movies. For the half scene.
I picked. Okay, well, right. I picked. We'll go with the Jumanji first.
Jumanji 2. It's too many Manjis. There's way too many Manjis. So here's my argument for Jumanji 2. Before we start this,
the first of the Rock ones. Though.
Yes. Here's my. I'll let you get to your interview style. You can ask me what I thought of it. You can ask me any questions you'd like. I'll let you sit there and think about them while I make this point. I don't think Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle is a body swap movie. I don't think it counts because no swap occurs. They merely their consciousness gets placed in the bodies of these characters. They do not swap with these characters. Maybe in the third one, if like the kid becomes Dr. Smolder Bravestone, then I'll be like it's a body swap. But until then, not a body swap.
Now, I don't disagree with that. Now, that being said, I would say that in the second of the which is not the one that you watched. But in the second of the Rock Jumanji ones, it is a body swap because they're
They're
swapping
absolutely swapping around. But
in
for the
in
first
that
one,
one.
I don't think it counts as a body swap movie.
I don't disagree. But so first question, um, of the four characters, so the Jack Black, the Rock character, the Karen Gillian character, and the Kevin Hart character,
Hmm.
which one's your favorite?
I mean, it's hard not to say The Rock, but not because of the reasons you're probably thinking. Um, I he's anytime anyone says The Rock is a bad actor, I point him to that movie because he's capturing the essence of a kid I was in high school becoming The Rock in such a masterful way. And in the second one, he does a great job of becoming Danny DeVito as The Rock. But in this one, it's like, yeah, there's so many subtle. Like one of my favorite moments is where they're deciding their plan and they're doing that thing where The Rock looks off stoically into the distance, and he's looking off stoically into the distance, and he's like, "Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry," and it's so good. It's so funny. So yeah, he's my favorite. Him and Jack Black is a close second. Him as a teenage girl. There's a little
It's
too
so
many
good.
jokes about how he has a penis for me that are like these are weird. It's a running gag that it's weird. Um, like the fact that Kevin Hart's like I have a huge penis. It's a weird, but he captures the spirit of being a teenage girl so well. Honestly, this made me want. I want them to make a Dungeons and Dragons movie. The Dungeons and Dragons movie I want is a remake of the cartoon, where it's like
Okay,
they get teleported to the Dungeons and Dragons world and they all become
their
Yeah, their
characters.
characters. I want them to do a live action adaptation of that in kind of a similar
I,
style to the one that they did last year,
that would be
where
fun.
it's like a
I'd be down for
comedy,
that.
and it's like yeah, it'd be so much fun. But yeah.
Uh,
Next question.
so okay, next question. Knowing that they are making a third one, if you could choose any actor to be like a character from the Jumanji verse in that movie, which actor would you choose to be in that movie?
I honestly, what I want out of the third one, I don't want them to go back to Jumanji. I want
No,
them.
like the character could escape from the game or come into the real world, but I'm saying it would come from the Jumanji world. Which
Um,
actor would you want to be like in that role?
hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So like say it could be the villain that
No, quite
escapes from the
honestly,
game.
Daniel Radcliffe. Daniel Radcliffe.
All right. And so follow-up question,
Because
would you have him be the villain?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think well, I mean, I like the okay because here the implication that's supposed to be that I completely missed from the second one. I know this is not related to the first one, but the bad guy in the second one, is
Is
supposedly he's supposed to be a human NPC who's also in the game as well.
interesting.
Not human, but he's a human character. He's a player
Yeah.
character.
I
You're
get.
supposed to get that when they hit him in the chest and his powers pop up. That's where you're supposed to get that. I always thought that was just because he's a boss. Like
Yeah.
he's the final boss, but that's where you're supposed to gather that. And so I think he should be the human player character in the real world.
Interesting.
Because
And so
that's a comment on the second one.
Daniel Radcliffe, Interesting.
But for
But no,
me,
that's the second one.
the third one should be all the Rock, Karen Gillan, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, their characters. So Finn Moon. But I said that about the second one too. That's what I thought the second one should be. But it should be they come to the real world, and now we get to see what Smolder Bravestone is actually like, and just make him a big cartoony parody of that kind of
A
hero.
caricature.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
he's
caricature.
super full of himself and self-assured, and have his arc be that he's now in the real world and it's all real, and there's actual consequences to what he has to do, and have that be his arc, and have it be that the kids teach the characters how to be more human, and they appreciate them for you actually get to see them as actual people. That's what I've always felt that's what I thought the second one should be, but that's what I definitely, and supposedly that's what it's going to be. Apparently it's also going to be like they're going to explore the origins of Jumanji. That's the thing for this one, to go back to this one. I feel that this should be a reboot. This should have been a reboot because they change it, just have it be a reboot, and just be like Jumanji's a video game now, instead of
Yeah.
explain like being like, wait, So it could turn itself into a video game. It could change
It
its
can
appearance.
it can turn itself into anything it wants to be. Like, what are the rules for this?
I,
Is it sentient? I'm so
well, and
confused.
that's the thing. Is like it I could have picked up this time, and I seem to recall this being a thing in the next one as well. It implies that the game is self-aware because it implies that the um Nigel Thornberry, no,
The
what's his
the
name?
guy the guy that the guy that shows up and is like,
Yeah,
"Hey, welcome to Jumanji."
yeah.
La 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 la.
I noticed this time, and I recall this from the next one as well. It's implied that he is the spirit of Jumanji, basically. That
Interesting.
he's the representation of Jumanji. And then it also makes you go, okay, I don't like the reference to, this is gonna sound really, really counter. I don't like the reference to Robin Williams. Because then it just makes you go, wait, so were there, I guess there was other NPCs in there because he was being hunted by the guy. Was the world different? It just makes you ask all these questions about what his universe was like while he was there, and like
Yeah.
unnecessary questions that you don't need to ask. Just be like, it's a video game now and it's a new thing. Like you don't
Yeah,
need to.
well, I think the references to the first one are fun. They just add so many questions that
Yeah, like I
I don't
get
need.
that this is the final version of what was an intended sequel that was on the like that was in pre-production hell, production hell for like years, and that they were literally just starting on the production of this. They had gone into production of this on this when Robin Williams was still alive. He was gonna be in this, and then he died.
Interesting.
Just like they were gonna make Mrs. Doubtfire 2, right? They were going into pre-production right as he died. So he was going to be in
Oh,
this, and so they had to rewrite it last second to write him out. So I suspect
interesting.
he would have probably met the Nick Jonas character. But you should have made this years ago. Like, well, if you wanted to involve Robin Williams at all, you should have done this years ago.
Yeah.
This could have been a reboot. There's no need for it to have been a sequel. I don't even call it a
I
sequel because it's not really a sequel.
It's not. I mean, it's very tangentially connected,
Exactly.
and so no, it didn't. I don't consider. That's why when you, funny enough, when you keep referring it to like Jumanji 2, Too Many Manji or whatever, I don't consider it to be Jumanji 2. I consider this to be the first one, and Return to the Jungle or whatever to be the second one.
That one's too
I
many
don't.
manji. No,
Yeah, like this to me is Jumanji 1,
it's funny
as far
because
as
I
far as
spelt
I'm
it.
concerned.
I spelt it out as Jumanji too many manjis in my notes. So
That's funny.
when I pulled out my notes and I saw my list of my movies, I was like, oh, too many manjis. That's funny.
Um,
Anything else you would like to know about what I thought about Jumanji? Welcome to the Jungle.
I guess the final question that I could pose to you is, overall, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, man. It's one of those ones where I get really sappy and emotional. I'm in my sappy emotional phase when it comes to movies, but I at the end when they go and oh yeah, and the fact that the board game controls time. So like, does the timeline where he disappeared and was dead still exist? Like, do they all have the kids remember it? But how come they remember the original timeline? Like, so is there like in the original timeline when they come back to the real world where the guy has been alive since the '90s? Like, did they not remember anything until they like re-entered their body? I now have these questions.
And
Um,
you'll never get the
but no,
answers.
it gets me. It gets me at the end when they go to meet him, and he's yeah, he went back to when he was taken, and he's now lived his whole life, and he's got a family now. He's got two kids, and he names the first his daughter after the girl who
Yeah.
saved his life, and that gets me every time. I'm like, oh, I forgot how much I like this movie. It's inoffensive and
Which
dumb. It's
which
like
is also that's also supposed to be obviously a callback to the original where Robin Williams and the wife or whatever meet the kids again, and they're
yeah.
like, "Oh, well, like don't your parents can't go on this trip," and they
Yeah,
stop them
except
from
for in that
dying.
one, they don't remember it because their parents didn't, or they met them sooner and their parents didn't die. Changed the whole fabric of time. Um,
Yeah,
okay, so what was the other one you wanted me to watch that I had already seen?
face off.
So good.
It's a movie called Face Off, Justin.
Oh, okay. What would you like to know about what I think about Face Off, Jordan?
Um,
Or would you like me to
what's your
just?
what's your favorite part about it, or
Oh,
favorite thing about it? I guess I should say favorite part, favorite
I mean,
thing.
it's all great. Um, the performances. This thing lives and dies on its performances, and as much as I love Nicolas Cage in it, he when he is um Castor Troy, he is unhinged. Like my favorite bit of him in that is when he's when at the beginning when it's all the people singing Hallelujah and he walks in dressed as the priest and he just starts headbanging and it's totally insane. But John Travolta as Castor Troy is he's so good. He captures Nicolas Cage's mannerisms, his little mannerisms that he does when he speaks, when he delivers lines. It's like I would love to know you know how much I hate saying shit like this, but like
The
as an
process,
actor, yeah, the process of like, did they spend time together? Like how much time did they spend together? Because
or did they watch each other's movies?
yeah, because I don't think Nicolas Cage is nailing John Travolta like at all. I don't think he's nailing him. I think he does an admirable job, but he's not nailing him. John Travolta is nailing him. Like he is Nicolas Cage. It's incredible. The action is also good. John Woo knows how to direct an action sequence. This movie very much made me go like, I can't believe this didn't get like 5 to 6 straight to DVD sequels where like it's not John Travolta or Nicolas Cage anymore, but it's like his cousin and he body swaps with like random people in each movie, and it's like Face Off 5, even more Face Offier. Like I just couldn't believe that
Come on.
they're just talking about bringing it back now. Like they've just
Oh,
talked about
interesting.
doing it. Yeah, they're talking about doing a reboot.
So that leads me into my second question. That's interesting that's the case. That leads me into my second question of, if there was a reboot, which apparently I guess you're saying there's talks for it.
Yeah.
Um, what two actors would
Well,
you
from
choose?
what I read, it was going to be a sequel. They're saying it's going to be a sequel. I'm hoping for a reboot, but they said it's going to be a sequel. Okay.
Okay, in this pretend world, it's a reboot, and you get to select the two
Okay.
titular character
Here's my
actors.
here's my question. Um, in the original movie, part of it is the only reason why this worked was they were of similar height and body shape, that it didn't require that much change plastic surgery wise. In this reboot, is the technology advanced enough now where they can be of differing heights and sizes?
Yeah, it's 30 years in the future, like more than it was, whatever. Like it's more advanced.
Because
Uh,
I already said this,
yes.
but Daniel Radcliffe and The Rock. Um, I I I I just
All right. No, I no, you've used that already. I need
well
something more
here's
creative.
okay. I will give you one more creative, but that was always my pitch for it because yeah, The Rock as Daniel Radcliffe would be very funny, and he has to do the British accent. It's in his
I
natural accent, and he has to do a British accent.
I I don't disagree, and I think that
Um,
would be a hilarious movie.
here's
But
my
you've used that combination already once today. I'm gonna need you to do a
who's my
different one
backup? Do I have a backup?
for the audience, for the content, and for the world, and
Hmm.
and for TrophySmack.com.
For TrophySmack.com. Oh. Oh, who's big right now? Um, Pedro Pascal and and who else is big right now? Who's been in a lot of stuff? Timothy Chalamet. There we go. Timothy Chalamet and Pedro Pascal.
Interesting.
Those
Interesting.
are my two. I don't know why.
Very interesting.
Mostly because or you know what? No, even better, even better. Okay, Adam Sandler and Timothy Chalamet. Yeah,
You want to know who my pick would be?
yeah. I couldn't think of one because you put me on the spot. Okay, I went
My
male. It
pick
could be female. We could do female.
my pick would be Kevin Hart and Jack Black.
Oh, that was good too. I love how we're just stealing all the cast members from
My first pick was actually Jack Black, and I can't think of the actor's name, which is the only reason why I didn't say it. The one from Mission Impossible.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Oh
that's it.
yeah. Oh, Tom Cruise. Yeah, 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 yeah. That'd be a good one. I would kind of want to do. I would want to go because the big thing about this is it went against type, and that's why people were so into it. So I kind of want to be like the technology is advanced now. We can face off cross genders, because I discovered that these movies are way more fun when the guy's got to be a girl, um,
Okay, okay.
or
So
the
then
girl's got.
in that instance, and also which in that instance, who would you pick if you could do gender and race and like just whatever changes you want, and which position would each of them be in?
I kind of I know see, but Jack Black has already done a teenage girl.
I know what I would pick.
Tom Cruise and Tom Cruise and Margot Robbie, I think, would be fun.
Interesting, very interesting. I went in a different direction in my mind. Melissa McCarthy and Jack Black.
That would also be fun. But I don't know. That feels too in type for Melissa McCarthy. Melissa McCarthy, it'd be too easy for her.
The only reason why I went that direction is because I figured the plot wise if the art like if the thing of like they have to be similar body shape,
Yeah, but
then that fits.
but see, that's my thing is like now I just kind of want to do a body swap movie with those two. Forget the face off part of it because I kind of want to leave in the part where he's in a band and he sings. Give him a chance to sing.
I
Um,
mean, you and I should be writing movies.
we should be. We should be. I do have one negative quality about Face Off. I like that movie. It's too long. It's
How long
entire.
is it?
It's two and a. It's almost 2.5 hours, and it's got
Oh
like
wow.
three climaxes. It can end like at multiple points, and it just keep. It's like okay, there he confronts him in the church, and there's a big shootout, and it looks like he's done, and then there's a boat chase, and then they finish the boat chase, and then he confronts him. He has a final fight on somewhere, and it's just like climax after climax, and it's like oh my god, it's like Lord of the Rings. It has four different endings.
Um. So okay, refresh me if I'm remembering this wrong. But is there's a part in it after Castor Troy and him have swapped faces where he's in his home and does he or does he not make uncomfortable advances towards the daughter while wearing the father's face, if
It
I'm remembering correctly?
it's weird. Like this movie seems to it hints that it wants to give Castor Troy some kind of arc where he like learns to appreciate his own family. So like it starts off, yes, he does make kind of uncomfortable advances towards his own his own daughter, and the wife
I mean,
and the wife.
I mean, it's not his own daughter. It's his enemy's daughter. He's just wearing the face
Yeah.
whose daughter it
Uh,
belongs to. If we're
uh,
getting real technical about
but
it,
yes, but it changes over time because he develops kind of a bond with them. But it just kind of doesn't really go anywhere. It's like one of the weaker subplots in the movie. Like there's a point where the daughter literally gets sexually assaulted, and he like beats the shit out of the guy who's about to do it and gives her a knife, and is like, which is there purely to set up the finale where she stabs him. When they realize that it's not the guy, she stabs him in the leg. But yes, that absolutely does happen.
so in your remake, would you cut that scene?
Yes, absolutely, I would cut that scene. Yeah,
All right, that's the correct answer. You passed the
I would.
test.
I would also.
Good work, sir.
I would make because it's weird. Again, Castor Troy has a son who's the same age as why can I never John Travolta's character? Because the whole thing is he hates Nicolas Cage's character because he shot his son, but it was an accident. It's very definitely an accident. He shot John Travolta in the chest and it went through his thing and went through the kid because he was holding the kid at the time.
Right.
So I would maybe change an element where I would have him be somewhat repentant about it. They kind of try to do it, but it just doesn't work for me in this. But I would maybe make him a tad more repentant and be like, I had a kid. I didn't mean to do that. It was a mistake. But yeah. It's overall it's a great movie. It's one of I cannot believe they haven't made it more of them.
So final question: did you like it?
Oh yeah, very much. I love Face Off.
You might notice a theme here. That's kind of how I'm going to end these.
Yeah, I did.
Is asking, did you like it?
I did. So that's the ones I had seen. Now, Jordan. Now, for the ones I hadn't seen.
Yeah.
Do you remember which ones those were?
I do, but I don't remember their names this time. I remember one was it was a very strange one that I kind of just picked out of hat, and that's the one that we're gonna go first. That was Trump versus.
Oh, we're gonna do Trump versus the Illuminati first. Oh, I was gonna end with that one,
Yeah.
but that's
Okay, no,
okay.
sure. We'll end with that one. I picked that one because I remembered the name. What was the other one? It was the one where
Um, blowout,
it was Blowout. Thank you.
blowout.
Um, I don't know that much about this one, so I'm gonna have a hard time doing questions.
Yeah.
Uh,
Would you like me to
I
tell you?
I guess the first question is gonna be what happens in this movie?
Sure. So it's John Travolta. That's the connection that Jordan forged between this and Face Off. These two do not involve body swapping. They are unrelated.
Oh,
Because Jordan thought of the connective tissue to it way too late. But the blowout is John Travolta, young John Travolta. So it's after Grease, but so it's like 1981. And he is a Foley guy. He, layman's terms, sound effects guy. He records sound effects for low budget slasher movies, terrible
right,
slasher movies, and he's basically trying to capture proper wind, and they're trying to subplot in the movies. They're trying to find the perfect scream for this horror movie because none of the screams they have are working. And while he's recording Foley or sound effects, he happens to see a car crash into the water with a senator in it. And at first glance, it appears that they've had a blowout of their tire, and that it's an accident. But when he listens back to his sound effects, he hears a gunshot.
ooh,
And it's a big solving this big mystery and conspiracy about what's the deal. Was it an accident? Was it not an accident? And it's yeah, it's good. It's very good. Um, but yeah,
interesting.
would you like what else?
Would you describe it as others have as a cult classic?
Yeah, I could see why you would say that. Yeah, it's very much a love letter to film. Not cinema in and of itself, but film. There's long sequences that I enjoyed, but I don't know if everyone else would enjoy. But I enjoyed of him. A part of this is spoilers for Blowout. Go watch it. It's a good movie. It's worth not knowing what's gonna happen. Sorry, Jordan, I have to spoil it. But basically, part of the conspiracy is they want a rival candidate wants to take down this candidate basically, and he hires an escort to get in the car with the governor candidate or whatever, and look like he's been stepping out on his wife in order to blackmail him to drop out of the race is the idea. And so they've been paid to do so. And another operative or an assassin shoots out the tire, causing him to crash and die, which was not the intention. The intention was for him to just have a blowout and pull out on the side of the road. He'd have to get out the car, and then another guy, a photographer, who's the escort's partner, takes pictures and sees him with this prostitute.
Okay.
And so when he dies, the photographer, the scummy photographer, decides to sell the pictures to the media for like shit tons of money. And so there's a scene where John Travolta takes the pictures and he edits them together in a bunch of film, and he turns it into a short little movie and puts his sound to it, so to determine like whether or not the tire actually got shot out or not. And so there's this really long scene of him like cutting film and like combining film and like attaching sound to it, and just how to film and work with film. And like as a guy who loves working with film, it's fascinating and it's so interesting to watch. But like for someone who doesn't, I could see how that it might not be their thing. And it's really interesting because it's a movie from the early 80s, right?
Right.
1980. What I've discovered is when a movie is like it's like the start of a decade, it always feels like it's from the previous decade. So this movie is from 1981 or 82, but it feels like it's a movie from the 70s. It's like really got that really 70s neo-noir grime grit to it that a movie from the 1970s has. And it's like I love that era of filmmaking. It's really yeah, it's really interesting and really fun to watch. And yeah, the mystery is
Interesting.
good. Um, it's very much a case of like the assassin is the world's most incompetent assassin, and the conspiracy keeps getting bigger and bigger so he could cover it up. The cover up becomes more and more elaborate. So it starts off with, yeah, he shoots the tire, and then the guy dies, and so then he has to swap out the tire for the one that was blown out, so it just looks like it was a regular blowout. And then um, he decides that the prostitute, the escort, like she's a loose end, so she needs to be tied up. But he can't just kill her, because if he just kills her, then that'll look suspicious. So he needs to frame it on a fictional serial killer. So he kills a bunch of other prostitutes who look like her and creates an MO
Pattern.
So, yeah, pattern. So it just looks like a run of the mill serial killer, so he can get away with it. And then it just keeps escalating from there. Where it's like, hey, he's just a shitty assassin who's bad at covering his tracks.
So hearing about all the film editing stuff, uh, that part of it and how it excites you, does it inspire you to make your own movie?
Not as much as say Clerks did, but more just it gives me an appreciation as a film nerd for how things used to be, because that's films aren't
Interesting.
made that way anymore. That's none of this technology
Very.
exists. Like the thing that gets me, and it got me in in Boogie Nights, is the notion that people used to go to the movie theater to watch porn
Yeah.
like
That's
that.
that was a thing.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
dirty theaters.
Yeah. And the line
Not
of
not
what is and is not porn was a lot more blurry back then.
It was an art back then. It was a film. They
Yeah.
they had like full hour and a half hour long movies
Yeah,
that
there
you
were
could watch.
films that, like, yeah, at one point he goes into a movie theater that's showing one, and he's making these movies upstairs. It's like, yeah, these were films that had effort put into them at one point. It's kind of funny how, like,
They had real acting.
yeah. Sort of, yeah. Um,
I
but
I I use the word loosely.
But no, it was good. It was definitely, it's very much early John Travolta before he kind of hit that point, whereas all like long like time actors do, where they just kind of start being themselves in movies, where it's like he's a little
Yeah.
bit more subdued in it. Um, it was a sad ending. The ending of it is basically um, the whole conspiracy starts to unravel, and he is going to turn all of his evidence into a report so it can get reported to the media, and the assassin catches wind of it, played by John Lithgow, by the way. Um, they
Uh,
they basically, he tracks the girl down, and John Travolta, his whole thing is he's a sound guy who used to be work for the cops, and it went badly, and so he quit, and so he wires her up, and the serial killer gets her, and he manages to kill the serial killer as he's killing her, and makes it look like she killed him in self defense. They killed each other, and he takes her scream and puts it in his movie. And the final shot is of him like listening to her scream, like it's this like horrifying, like harrowing scream of as she's being murdered. And his boss is like, "Yeah, it's a good scream," and he very like traumatized. He's like, "Yeah, good scream, yeah."
See, you know what you might find funny, or interesting is when I was trying to decide what movie for you, and I ended up picking this one, and I was looking at the list of obscure movies and stuff, because my goal was to pick ones that you hadn't seen. A difficult task, believe me.
Boy, did you.
Um, and But one of the things was when I saw this movie and I read the little blurb about it, it reminded me of that. Do you remember that one where it's I can't remember the actor's name at the moment, but he's a Mysterio in Spider-Man.
Oh, Jake
Uh,
Gyllenhaal. Are you talking about
Jake, where he was staging the different
yeah,
things.
Nightcrawler? I can
Yeah.
see why you would
Very
say that.
much. The brief little bit that I read made me think of that, and I was like, that was good.
It's
So
not
maybe
it's not
this
like
will
that, but
be.
It's not like that, but I could see why based on its description why you would think that.
So I guess my final question would have to be, and I think I feel like you can guess what this question is
Did
going to be.
I?
Did you like it?
I was surprised by how much I liked it. I was like, solid pick. Yeah, it's as a cinephile art house nerd. It's like, yeah, this is right in my alley. This is exactly the kind of movie I've developed an affinity for. I really like the 70s. The 70s is like, that's when things started to get experimental. Like, that's when we started to take chances with movies, and that's when you could see tits. That was a joke. That was a joke. I'm kidding.
Hey! There's no such thing as a bad boob.
There's no that I believe that much is true.
Um,
So yeah, that was blowout. Now, Jordan, I suppose you want to know about Trump versus the Illuminati.
oh, that's what this whole thing started with. That was the very first pick. I have to know how bad it is.
It was all leading to Trump versus the Illuminati.
Talk,
Okay.
talk.
Trump versus the Illuminati is a terrible fucking movie. I'm sure that does not surprise you. Okay, I actually have to pull up the Wikipedia article to read it to you because I don't think I'm going to get all the details. So, in the year 2044, an advanced artificially intelligent robots drain the Earth of its natural resources, leaving nothing but a husk of a planet for humanity. Humanity is forced to escape into space in a fight for survival. A Chinese clone of Donald Trump survives the planet's destruction by escaping the maximum security laboratory in which he's kept, by stowing away on the last shuttle headed to space, and he winds up on Mars, where he ends up living alone for 1,000 years until the last surviving members of humanity show up and convince him to go and fight the Illuminati, ultimately having him go to hell to fight Satan.
Okay, so unlike the other movie, I have so many questions about this one.
Okay.
Who made this?
Here's the thing, right? So you know how everyone's all like you can edit Wikipedia, so you shouldn't trust Wikipedia. So this is written and directed by someone named BC14. And
That's a real name.
According to BC14, he's an American screenwriter, novelist, film director, and editor. He began his career with a slate of award-winning short films and music videos. Award-winning, Jordan. I looked through them. None of them look award-winning. I feel like he wrote this. There's no way he didn't.
I feel like this isn't true.
I feel like he wrote this. This has got to be a and the thing about it is, like, it feels like it's written by AI. Like, you know how, like, you see, like,
it sounds like it's written by AI.
Like you know, have you ever seen those videos where it's like I plugged in 600 hours of stand up into an AI?
Yeah.
And had them,
yeah.
or I programmed an AI to write a Batman movie. That's what this feels like. Like, the dialogue feels like it's written by AI. It's one of those ones that, like, it perplexes me, the people who are voice acting in it. What did they think as they were making this? Like, how did they feel?
It's a paycheck.
Like, it's wild because it's such a confusing movie, because you'd think, based on the title, that it's a pro-Trump movie, but the movie and the character of the clone makes painstaking efforts to point out the fact that he's not Donald Trump. Like, every chance he gets, he points out that he's not Donald Trump. He is a clone of Donald Trump. And every other character consistently points out how he is Donald Trump. Like, oh yeah, you're Donald Trump. He's the spirit of Donald Trump. He has the energy of Donald Trump. He's as good as Donald Trump. And he's like, no, I'm not Donald Trump. You can just call me Trump. I'm a clone of Trump. It's so confusing. And like,
so it's not. It's safe to say that it's not like propaganda.
No, yet kind of, sort of. But then there's points where they're like, oh, Donald Trump was the most evil president of all time, and he's super bad. And the original Donald Trump was like this bad guy, and like he's this awful person who did that, and he got killed. And the only thing of note that he did was be the 45th president of the United States, and it's his fault that all this happened. And like,
wow,
it's but he's the hero of this, theoretically.
That's That sounds very confusing.
And then there's a moment where the Illuminati shows up and he tries to bribe them by like offering them like 1,000,000 yen, but the Earth is destroyed, so yen would be worthless. So why? And they're aliens. Why would they? They seem interested, but they're aliens.
Okay, uh, but here's the fun question. What was your favorite part about it? And don't say the ending. Don't say when it was over.
Um, that it was short. It was only an hour and 6 minutes. It feels like
Okay.
it feels like it doesn't end so much as it just kind of stops with the character dancing. Okay, no.
So so then next follow-up question. Next question. Would you say that this was adequate revenge for Batman versus Superman?
It kind of in the sense that it's not the only one.
Oh, so what you're saying is I'm going to be having you come back to this.
No, what I'm saying is there's a prequel, and I watched that too because this was only an hour and 6 minutes.
There's a prequel. And
Yeah,
is it also about the clone?
it's about a clone. So okay, it's okay. So there's a prequel. It comes out
Okay.
a month later. So this came out in October of 2020. This prequel comes out a month later in November of 2020. Oh, and the big thing with the Trump one is you barely see his face. Like the entire time he's wearing a spacesuit. All of the characters in this all look like they're basic default assets in an animation program. So like they're all generic, like they're like, oh, we're the Illuminati and this is Satan, but they all just look like generic gray aliens, and none of all of the human characters, you never see their face. They're all in like spacesuits, and Donald Trump is in a NASA spacesuit, and you occasionally it'll flash and you kind of see his face, but his lips never move. Like you never act, and it's a bad impression to top it off. Like you never see his face. And so there's a subplot where there's another clone who is oh fuck, what was his name? Hold on. Hold on. I've got it open for this exact reason. There's another character who is a clone of Van Helsing. And I think it's VH. I think he goes by VH. He goes by VH. Oh, every character in this movie is fucking horny as shit. They constantly make references to having sex with each other or performing oral sex on each other or doing weird sexual things. There's a point where for some reason, Trump has been stranded on Mars for 1,000 years, and he's made a friend who's another astronaut who is dying, who at one point asks him if he actually grabbed women by the pussy. He's like, what's the... And he's like, you grabbed... And he's like, and he reminds... The clone reminds him that he's not actually Trump. He's like, I'm not actually Trump, so I've never actually been with any of those women.
I never said that.
I never do that. I'm not him. But there's an entire subplot where Trump is just gone for this already short movie. He's gone for at least 10-15 minutes of it, where it cuts to this other clone of Van Helsing and his partner Bigfoot, and there's this entire subplot of him. I'm not gonna lie to you. This failed the phone test so immediately. And the plot was so most of the dialogue is incomprehensible. So I couldn't follow a lot of what was happening other than like just generally. But like he's doing this other thing where he's fighting these alien bad guys, and that they keep insisting are lizard people, but they don't look like lizard people because they're all gray. They just look like generic gray aliens. And so there's a prequel which is called Bigfoot versus the Illuminati, which is Van Helsing is about Van Helsing. It's a prequel about the Van Helsing clone, and him fighting the aliens. But whoever was making these movies couldn't remember anything in between making them, despite the fact that they came out like a month apart, because one of the characters is Aleister Crowley, and his voice sounds like Zim from Invader Zim.
Okay, high pitched and annoying.
Yeah, yeah. Like literally, it just sounds like Invader, like Richard Horvitz's kind of voice. I looked it up. It's not voiced by him, but you could have fooled me. Um, and and part of the plot of the prequel is summoning him because he's the one. Because part of this is they've made a deal with Anubis, who both exists and is not on Earth because they go to his temple. But they say that there's nothing left on Earth, but they go to his temple, and they like, yeah, they basically talk to him to discover. They discover that the clone of Donald Trump is on Mars, and that's what incites the whole incident. But in this prequel, one of the priests. Oh, in the prequel, they're no longer called the Illuminati. They're called a different name, but they still work for Satan, and Aleister Crowley is still their boss. So they use Anubis to summon Aleister Crowley, but they couldn't be bothered to remember which model they used for him. So the model that they used for him for the first one is a completely different model now. So it doesn't look the same. So it doesn't look like the same character, but the character that was him is now a totally different character. And there's a point where like they're testing this technology. There's this doctor called Dr. Jekyll. And I could talk about this movie for hours.
And his friend Mr. Hyde.
And he injects the evil Aleister Crowley. They kidnap, they capture Aleister Crowley, and they eject him with this truth serum that they're like, this will either make you do what I tell you, or you can just do what I tell you. But then he refuses to do what they tell him. So they're like, so it's just going to poison you anyway.
So the serum doesn't work?
It doesn't do anything ultimately, no. And so, yeah.
Okay.
So they use Anubis to summon him so that they can gain the power of the god of Ra. And the Dr. Jekyll injects this chip that's supposed to make him this hyper competent, like badass fighter, and also makes him incredibly proficient in sex. Like he's just amazing at sex. So there's just like the back half of this is just him having sex with this girl. And like it's just like set to weird stationary. There's so many stationary environment shots that are clearly just default copyright royalty free images in like Maya. Like it just looks like they used all the default assets in Maya. Like that's what this looks like.
Oh god. Okay. So I have one more question before the final question. You being the expert filmmaker that you are, do you think you could salvage this?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Do you think you could take the shell of this movie and make it into a successful major movie?
I mean, number one, yes. I mean, yes, I could absolutely have it where you send Trump to space and he's got to fight space aliens. I wouldn't. They're trying to do this thing of like, oh, they're making fun of conspiracies and it doesn't work. Just have it where it's Trump and he goes to space and he fights aliens from Mars. It doesn't need to be a clone. Just have it be Trump. The fact that he's a clone is a weird detail. Not much of this feels like it. Literally feels like this guy put Trump, Illuminati, and aliens into an AI algorithm, a Chat GPT, and it spat this out.
He probably did. It wouldn't surprise me.
And he wrote his own Wikipedia. I'm doubting if this is even a real person.
I mean, it's just a robot.
If you're gonna ask me if I enjoyed it. Only in the sense that this is
the final question. You have to let me ask it, Justin. We have to if I'm gonna have to go through the niceties of you talking to me about my movies, you have to let me do the interview question.
Fine.
Did you enjoy this movie?
In the sense that it's yielded many minutes of content, yes. As a movie, no. It's not even. I don't even think it's fun. I saw people. Actually, no. The best part about this movie was a review I read for Bigfoot versus the Illuminati, which described the animation as good, which was lying.
Good.
It's not. It was
good.
It's not good. It's not good animated. No, somebody said it was good. It was one of those movies where it's like you could enjoy it as a so bad it's good. Maybe, yeah, with the correct amount of liquor and Mary Jane and the correct group of friends, this could be fun. but
You,
alone,
t- you
for the
take you
purposes
take
of
a
saying stuff about it, no, it was not
you,
fun.
you take a shot every time he does X thing.
Yeah, or something. Yeah. In the sense that I was gonna experiment with this, with starting with this episode. I'm gonna start taking some of these segments and putting them into long form content, removed long form content on our YouTube channel. And this is nice and a nice length that I can cut. That's what I enjoyed about it. Other than that, did not enjoy much. That was my book report, everybody. 3 out of 4 of the movies were good.
It's not a bad
It's
average.
not fair because I gave you one that was supposed to be bad. You ended up liking it. It's bullshit.
Hey, it's
Um,
not my fault that your memories of my feelings for it were not what you remembered.
oh, so upsetting. Okay, now it's George. So now it's the movies this guy picked. To start off with,
And
Jordan.
this guy
Let's
watched.
start off nice and easy. Let's start off with Zathura. The first one he watched was Zathura. Jordan, what did you think generally of the film Zathura?
Overall, I like it. It is space Jumanji. It is referred to as Zathura: A Space Adventure, also known as Zathura, or as I like to call it, Space Jumanji.
Space Jumanji?
Um, but overall, I enjoyed it. It's fun. It's light. It's John Favreau directed movie,
Yeah.
which is why I say some of my quick fires were John Favreau movies. But yeah, to answer your question, overall, I liked
I'm
it.
pretty sure this is what got him Iron Man. I'm pretty
I mean,
sure.
this came out in 2005, and I think the first Iron Man is 2009.
2008. What?
Even better.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was the sci-fi stuff that he was doing in this. That I'm pretty sure they went. He'd make a good Iron Man.
Probably.
So okay, here's a more general question. When it comes to Josh Hutcherson, you've now seen a few of his child star days movies. If, how would you say would you feel he's evolved as an actor as he's evolved into an adult actor versus a child star?
Oh, yeah, definitely. He used to be the what I would define as the cocky, swaggery,
Snot nosed.
thinks he's snot nosed, thinks he's cooler than he is kid.
Yeah,
That was the role he played in a lot of movies, whether it be in RV, whether it be in this. That was kind of the arc, whether it be in Bridge to Terabithia. Was kind of the archetype he fell into, like
yeah,
a very specific elementary school kid that we all knew someone like him.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so um, compare it to Jumanji, the first Jumanji, because we're not going to talk about
The,
that.
the Robin Williams one, yeah.
Is this more like Jumanji that one, or is this more like is it more they get sucked into the game or the game comes out to them?
I would say that it's more like they get sucked into the game, because they start playing the game and then they're in space.
Fair, that's fair. Yeah, my
So
another sort of
their home gets taken into the world of Zathura. Like that's where all the aliens are there. That's where all the space events happen. Is like they're in space.
my big complaint about that one was that it doesn't get creative enough with the fact that they're in space. Like it's too much of that movie takes place in the house, and I think it would have been more interesting if maybe they had to go to another planet, or if that it's a bottleneck movie, and I don't know that it necessarily fully works in that regard.
I can see why you'd say that. It definitely, and I feel like, to be fair, John Favreau apparently didn't really like the first Jumanji movie, so he was trying to distance himself from that movie. Um, but I feel like part of why they didn't go like out into onto a planet or things like that is because in Jumanji they go outside.
Yeah, but that's just it.
Like
This doesn't go outside, and I think it
I
suffers
know
for that.
that's what I'm saying. Is I'm saying John Favreau didn't like Jumanji. He didn't want to be attributed to Jumanji. So if he took them outside, that's just a stage that happens in that Jumanji movie. It
Right.
would be even. it would be even more like attributed and compared to that movie.
But I would make the argument. I would say that going outside in Jumanji's, they're going out into the real world, right? I just have it where it's like, yeah, like the what they eventually did with Jumanji, where it's, they go out and it's the game world, right? Then you aren't just
Plus,
doing.
plus, I'm guessing with the budget of 65 million, all the special effects they had on the space stuff, they probably didn't have much more in the budget to go outside as well.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just not enough space stuff happens for me in that movie. Um, or I mean, the stuff to me that's the most interesting, and that's going to be my next question. How telegraphed? How if you didn't know, we're going to spoil Zathura here if you haven't seen Zathura. But the big twist in Zathura is Zach Braff is Josh Hutcherson from the future. Well, from an alternate timeline. Um,
Yeah.
how telegraphed is that twist, or had you not known it was coming, did it surprise you the first time?
I It's hard for me to say this time because I've seen that movie so many times, but
Is it super
um
telegraphed? Like, would you have guessed it?
I feel I from what I remember when I watched it the first time, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, me neither. I don't recall seeing it coming.
Um but I was a kid when I watched it. Like a younger person anyway. Um I I don't think it's that telegraphed. Um Me watching it this time, I don't think it's that telegraphed. Like it is at I would say it is when the sister comes in, but that's because I've seen it.
Yeah, yeah,
But up till that point, like when she makes, I mean, if you know anything about filmmaking, when she starts making comments about how he has gorgeous eyes, you know there's going to be something that pops up that's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
There's a reason they don't
like
get together.
yeah, like there, there's going to be some, whether it's like it's something else or it's there like it's him, like you knew that something was going to come from that.
Yeah.
um so in that regard, I suppose a little, but I don't think that
My
much.
thing is, like, if he didn't, it's interesting. I didn't know that he didn't like it. He didn't like the original. Did he say why he doesn't like the original Jumanji?
uh Let me see if I can find that out while I'm looking.
Because
Uh
I'll help you out. Because the reason why I'm curious is because the original Jumanji is dark and scary, and just do the opposite of that. Like make it bright and colorful and not scary, and make it like more about the adventure than the making the scary things. Like they tried to do a little bit of a scary thing with the lizard people, but you don't actually see them. But still, make it more
you
about
do
the
see,
whimsy.
you do see the lizard people.
Not direct on though, isn't? Aren't they always like
Yeah,
obscured or in
no, no,
shadows?
no. You see them.
Oh, okay. But yeah, just do it.
Sorry to answer. What it says on the on the Wikipedia is in terms of the release was Favreau discouraged the notion that the film is a sequel to the 1995 film Jumanji, having not particularly liked the film. Both he and author Chris Van Allsburg, who also wrote the book upon which Jumanji is based, stated Zathura is very different from Jumanji, and the film was marketed by the studio as taking place within the same fictional universe.
Huh. I would never have guessed that.
Apparently, series actor Jack Black considers it the second installment of the Jumanji franchise.
Huh. Because to my knowledge, the book that I mean, to be fair, the books that these movies are based on are they're children's books and they're picture books, and the narrative is not super deep. It's just as simple as they play a board game. The board game is magic and it comes to life. Like that's kind of it. There's no like lore or like there's nothing to be gleaned from the. So Zathura, I think it is a sequel to Jumanji only in that it's now they're playing another magic board game. Like that's
Yeah,
kind
like
of that's kind of
I like the attribution that yeah, they exist in the same world, but it's not
yeah.
like it's just another magic board game.
So it's like yeah, it's a sequel technically. I know that I'm pretty sure I heard that the original author regretted making it a sequel because he wanted them to kind of be their own things. They're a sequel in the sense that they involve a magic board game. But I think if you wanted to be fun in Jumanji 3, yeah, you could easily just be like, yeah, whoever created Jumanji also created Zathura, and they come from the same place. That could also be kind of fun to connect them in that way. But that
Maybe it's possessed by the same spirit.
did you have anything else you wanted to say about Zathura before we move on to
No,
the next one?
it was good. It's inoffensive. It's simple, basic. I will say Josh Hutcherson is a shit in it.
Yeah.
He's such a shit of a character. He's so much like there's a point in the big like in the beginning where the little brother is like, "You're such a dick," and he is.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
such a
But also
he's such a dick.
the kid is so annoying.
He's six.
I speaking as someone who
He's six.
yeah, but
Six.
the kid who does something
6-year-olds are annoying.
the kid who does something deliberately annoying that they know is troublesome and then does the I'm sorry. I hate kids like that. I knew kids
I
like
mean,
that.
sure, but he's doing it simply because he wants he wants his older brother's attention. If his older
Yeah.
brother gave him a little bit of attention, to the point where at the end of the thing, like in the beginning of it, he can't catch a ball, but by the end of the movie, he's perfectly able to catch a ball because his brother actually took the time to
Look,
show him how to do
I'm not
things.
saying Hutchison's in the right. I'm just saying the brother's also annoying. It's like I'm not gonna pretend he's not also kind of annoying.
Sure, but they're both annoying for different
Um,
reasons.
So with that, we're gonna move on to the second thing I picked for Jordan, which has a
Yes,
history.
yes, I did like it. Thank you for asking that question,
Oh,
Justin.
I assumed you did. I assumed you did. Did you like Zathura, Jordan?
I did like Zathura. No,
Wait,
I'm joking. You don't actually have to ask that after everyone.
my structure is gonna be different. I don't play by any rules.
I was
Um,
giving you a hard time.
so the second thing that I had Jordan watch was a movie called Buried with Ryan Reynolds. Before we get into what Jordan's updated thoughts on it, I'm gonna link it in the description of this video that you can go and watch it. I'm pretty sure I still have it on YouTube. But we years and years ago did a review of this movie where I said it was the worst movie I had ever seen, and I was
Ooh,
very angry about it. I was so mad. I said a lot of curse words in it. It's very entertaining.
I'd like to go back and watch that.
But I we put Ryan Reynolds in a bubble and we protected him and we said he didn't deserve to be in this piece of shit movie. And then I rewatched it for TikTok and I made a video because I tried to jumpstart a series where it was like change my mind. It didn't catch on, but I talked about how I rewatched this and I changed my mind on it and my newfound appreciation as I exist in my current iteration of film loving is a big fan of performance and saw a good performance and a good direction. And so, with that, we begin Jordan's thoughts on the movie Buried by asking him, what are your updated thoughts on this movie?
Okay. Well, before I can answer that, I have to say that my first I have to watch that video. I don't remember exactly what I said all those years ago. But I do know that I had the opinion, and I do still have this opinion, that it would make a better book or book on tape or audio book or what have you
I don't disagree.
than it does a movie, simply because you can get inside the character's
I would
head. You can hear
also,
what they're thinking. You can hear what they're
yeah,
feeling, and it gives you more of an opportunity to kind of delve into the inside of his head.
I would also say that
Um,
to do it with a bit of production value, like an Audible original, and have Ryan Reynolds read it,
oh,
do it.
that would be great.
It would be very good. I think as an
Uh,
audio drama, just removed
now
from what I think of the movie itself.
now, having prefaced with that, I wouldn't say that my thoughts have changed per se, so much as I would say that they've evolved, much like
Hmm.
I, as a person, have
I know
evolved.
exactly what you mean.
Um, so I can more properly articulate this time that I like the story. I think that it is a very good, very intense story. And one of the things that I can really say this time around is I have a lot more of a healthy respect for an actor who can hold the entire movie, or at least 70 to 80% of the movie, by himself.
Yeah, in one
Um,
location, in one
in
spot,
one
in
location, in a
low lighting.
very basic, very low light.
Yeah.
Very, and I don't like tight spaces. And this movie really, really evokes that feeling in me. I felt
Well,
uncomfortable.
it's which is
Like
so interesting.
like tight and squeezed in, and I just it made me I don't that is my nightmare.
What
At
is
least one of my
what is
nightmares.
very interesting is that's what people said coming out of it in the theater back when we first watched it, and we hated the presentation of it, the story, and just like yeah, the didn't appreciate it in quite the way that I do now because I don't know, maybe it's because I know how the sausage is made, maybe it's because I have an idea of how just what goes into doing a movie like that,
Yeah.
that I just appreciate it more now.
Um That being said, I do still think that the movie would be a little bit stronger, and it wouldn't even pad out the runtime that much if you had a simple scene where it's like it's him in the truck driving and getting captured.
Just do it
I
in
think
the
having I think having that first scene where where he's not in the box and he gets put in the box makes it just adds a little bit more weight.
Doesn't it opens with a pretty decently long opening credits, right? It has opening credits, or does it immediately start with him in the
Uh
box?
I mean, he's just always in the box.
Because what I was gonna say is, if for do opening credits and just do it over the opening credits.
Yeah. Like
Nice
it's
and
not a
easy.
hard thing. And
Yeah.
that's all that it really needs. Like you don't need to have scenes where you're cutting to these people that he's talking to and you're
No.
seeing them.
We used to
Like
say
you don't
that, but
need
no, you don't.
I used to say that, but you don't need that. All I think that it needs, the only thing I would add is that first scene where he gets like where you find out where you see him before the box.
Well, yeah, you see him and
Even
he's because he's just a construction guy, right? You just see him doing construction, and then
he's a
yeah,
delivery guy.
you just see his
He's
truck,
driving a truck.
and you see it explode, and then black,
Yeah.
and then the movie opens and he's in the box.
Like to me that's all you need.
Yeah.
Um uh or like yeah, like you see him in the truck driving through the streets and you see some of the things that he later describes where like he sees the people like throwing the rocks at his car and then you see the explosion and then it's in the box.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Yeah.
to me that's all you need.
Yeah.
um but um what else did I have to say? um
Do you still believe that it's the worst movie you've ever seen?
oh no, definitely not. I don't know what would fall into that category at this moment in time,
It's
but
hard. My opinion on the worst blank I've ever seen. It becomes
it
harder and harder to say that because I've seen a lot of bad movies.
yeah, yeah.
It's hard to like
It's a scale,
yeah.
like a
Like
sliding
today
scale.
it's Trump versus the Illuminati, but tomorrow it might be something different. You never know. Monday it might be Miss Marvel, or the Marvels because I plan to watch that on the plane. Um,
Yeah, that one's okay.
did you watch it?
I did, yeah. That
Uh,
one's okay.
is it? Is it as bad as everyone says it is?
It didn't pass the phone test.
No, no. I plan
No.
that and Aquaman. I plan to watch on the plane. We were actually gonna do. I was actually gonna do a what we missed last year for the finale, but I changed my mind. Um, all
So,
right.
next question for me.
Yeah. Next question. Buried. Um, I don't know if I have any else. Other than to say that my favorite scene in that movie is where he phones his like sister-in-law, I think, and he's trying to get
Oh
her to
yeah,
help, and he just starts yelling at her, and she hangs up on him, and he
freaking
phones
out.
back, yeah, and he's like, I'm sorry, I yelled at you, and it's because you're seeing it from his perspective. You're just like, yeah,
Uh,
man, I get it, I get his frustration. That and the
oh
ending
yeah,
is genuinely upsetting.
yeah, yeah. That is. I suppose one. Why I do have one more thing to say about it. About the movie is, and this is more just a commentary on Ryan Reynolds himself. Is if you've only ever seen him do comedy movies,
Yeah,
this is a great example of getting to see him stretch his acting legs and do something different. And
yeah.
so that kind of is a perfect segue into one of the other picks.
Oh yeah, so okay, so those are the two you had seen, right? We got to do the ones you haven't
Yeah.
seen now. Yeah, okay. So the ones you haven't seen, do you have any preference to the one you want to start with?
Well, I did just hand you a perfect segue into one of them.
Oh yeah, right. Okay, so the first one I had watched Jordan watch was a movie called The Voices, um, which I still think isn't The Voices still technically a comedy? Isn't that technically still a comedy?
I mean, macabre comedy, maybe.
Yeah, it's a dark
It's
comedy.
described. It's described on Wikipedia as a comedy horror film.
So for those who this is getting a bit more niche, I don't know that people are going to have seen the voices. For those, very quick, because we're pushing over 2 hours now. Very quickly, in as concise a manner as you possibly can, tell people what the voices is about.
Man hears voices. Dog is good voice. Cat is bad voice. And he is disturbed and he murders coworkers at a factory.
And he does the voice. It stars Ryan Reynolds, and
Yes.
he does the voices of the cat and the he's the voice that plays them as well, right?
Oh, is he?
I believe
I
so.
didn't know that.
I believe he is the dog. He's definitely the dog. I don't know if he's both the dog and the cat, but he's definitely the dog.
Oh yeah. Apparently he's the voice of the main character Jerry Hickfang, and Bosco, Mr. Whiskers, the deer, and Bunny Monkey.
Oh, okay. I knew he was at least I knew he was at least the dog. I couldn't remember if he was the cat. And then obviously the people he kills talks to him as well.
Yeah, the heads.
The heads talk to him, yeah.
Um, but
When he's
if
not
I
taking
had
his
to
meds.
if I had to describe this movie in one word, it would probably be upsetting.
Yeah.
Um, some of the deaths are just whoo.
Why you should take your medication?
Oh yeah. Also, and this was a weird thing for me. There's just certain moments in the movie where Ryan Reynolds doesn't look like Ryan Reynolds to me. He looks like Ed Helms.
Interesting. I mean, that's maybe a good thing because that just shows the performance. He's getting lost in the performance. He's becoming someone else.
Um, but no, this movie is another fantastic example of if you take a comedic actor and kind of turn that energy inwards,
Yeah.
what you get.
Yeah.
He is. I mean, at one point when I was watching the movie, I definitely messaged you, and I don't know if you ever saw the
Yeah,
message,
Jerry needs help.
saying, Jerry. No, I believe my exact words were, Jerry needs to be in a padded cell.
Well, yeah, Jerry needs to take his meds. The whole thing is because he's seeing everything as glowy and like
And good
happy
and
and good.
happy,
And
and
it's because he's not on his meds.
Jerry is a very very um upset and disturbed individual who definitely should be taking his meds. Don't listen to anyone who out there. Don't listen to the cat.
Yeah, the cat
Don't
tells you.
listen to don't the cat's telling you to do the wrong things.
Yeah, the cat is definitely
Unless
telling
unless 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 the dog is actually the one telling you to do the wrong things, in which case take your damn meds.
you.
Animals shouldn't be talking to
Your
you.
dog and your cat should not be talking to you. But yeah,
Uh,
who else? Sorry. So you said Ryan Reynolds is good in it. I think, and would you agree? Gemma Arterton, who is one of the heads, she's really good at it too.
she's really good. Anna Kendrick is also very
Right,
good.
she's one of the heads. Yeah,
When
yeah, yeah.
when she picks as she was picking the lock to go like to help him get into apartment, she goes in. I'm like, oh, don't go in there. Don't go if you want to live. Take my word for it. You don't want to. Oh, and she went in there,
Yeah.
and she very quickly lost her head.
It's disappointing because he dies at the end, right? And then, because I just know
Yeah,
that
he
it
died.
ends.
He dies from smoke inhalation.
Because yeah, I just remember it ends with him like disco dancing with everyone in heaven.
Yeah, yeah. Which I mean, I don't think that he should be in heaven.
No, but considering how many people he murdered, no.
Just saying, like that just seems like correct, like positive reinforcement for a bad thing. Like
My
I
thing is
don't know.
like
Maybe
this is
maybe
one of
that's
those
just
ones
me.
where I can't believe like they should have left him alive and done a sequel. Have him talk to more things. It'd be fun.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
did you have anything else
yeah.
to say on the voices?
I mean, good movie. Uh,
Oh yeah, did you enjoy it,
r-
Jordan? Did you enjoy the voices?
I did enjoy the voices. And I enjoyed the last one as well.
The buried?
Buried,
Well, yeah,
the
we, we,
buried.
we already we already pretty much established that you had changed your opinion on it from declaring it the worst
Um,
movie you had ever seen.
um,
It's a real low bar to
uh,
clear, but it's a bar we've now cleared.
But no, yeah, I enjoyed the voices. If you're looking for something that it definitely made me laugh,
Yeah,
so it does fit into the comedy. But there's definitely some horror moments in there that like I said, some of the deaths are just like, "Eee."
Yeah, like a good dark
uh,
comedy. Nothing like Freaky. Freaky was really good for that, where it was like yeah, when I told you the killing the guy with the um
yeah, yeah,
it's one of
yeah.
those things where it's like that's fun, that's fun. But when you think about somebody discovering a body like that, it would be upsetting.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But yeah, overall, yeah, liked it.
And
Good.
so then the
Ch-
second one, which I have more questions about, um, was a movie called Chef.
It
Uh,
is called
and
Chef.
that one is both directed and stars Jean Favreau, which once again is Jordan's connection, but his hasn't seen has more of a connection than mine did. But very basically, what is Chef about?
Uh, guy is a fairly well known chef in a restaurant. Uh, uh, Reviewer comes, gives bad reviews, or gives bad review. John Favreau's character kind of goes down a rabbit hole on Twitter, and ends up leaving the restaurant that he's at, buying a food truck, and goes across country with his son, and I think it's his sous chef from the restaurant, one of the people from the restaurant,
So that was like,
and
so I was gonna say that's his restaurant, or is it just a restaurant he works for?
no, it was a restaurant that he worked at.
Gotcha. I know it
The
featured a
food
food
the,
truck.
the food truck is
Yeah,
his,
that I knew. I knew.
and
I knew.
that's why he leaves the restaurant, is because at the restaurant that the owner keeps going, basically being like, "You work for me, do my menu," and people, like, he's not satisfied doing that, and he wants to make changes and stuff, and so then in the food truck he can do whatever he wants.
Gotcha. So, were there any recipes in there that you were like, you know what, I want to try making this? Were you motivated by anything in that
I
movie?
want to make it. I want to make a beignet.
Are
They
those
look
are
delicious.
they really hard to make?
I have no idea, but I want one, and I can't go to New Orleans, so I'm probably gonna have an easier time making it myself.
I mean, maybe you could buy them from the store.
I have no
I have
idea.
no idea.
Also, I just want to make some dope ass sandwiches.
Yeah, right. Every time I see a sandwich, I'm like, I'm no good at making sandwiches. How are the performances? Is John Favreau, like you said you watched Couples Retreat where he's like shithead for John Favreau. Is he like, what stage of John Favreau is he? Is he more Happy Hogan? Is he more?
He's full on dad. I believe that him and the kid, like, that he's the kid's dad. He's got full on dad energy, and it's definitely it's in the period of like Avengers, Happy Hogan time. Ryan Reynolds and Scarlett Johansson are both in this movie.
You mean Robert Downey
Um,
Jr.?
what did I
You
say?
said Ryan Reynolds. You got
I've
Ryan
been
Reynolds on
talking.
the brain.
I've been talking a lot about him. I meant
Iron
Robert
Man and
Downey
Black
Jr.
Widow.
I meant Robert Downey Jr. Um, yeah, they're both in this movie. She's a waitress or a bartender or whatever at the restaurant that he starts off with, and I Robert Downey Jr. I can't exactly figure out. I think he was a business partner that ended up sleeping with John Favreau's wife while they were divorced.
All right,
But all I
like
know
one
is that he
does.
helps him. All I know is that he helped. I mean, if you saw her, you would not be surprised, because she is played by. Why am I having trouble finding her name? There it is, Sofia Vergara.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, when I came out last night, I was like, oh, it's Sofia Vergara.
and and she is
Muy
um
caliente.
muy caliente. Um, but it's cute. It's definitely cute. Watching the kid, that John Favreau's character, kind of reform a relationship with his son, is definitely cute. Uh, you know, call me a sucker, but I'm a sucker for a good father son
Yeah, gets me
like
every time.
story. It warms the cold cockles of my heart. Um, but it's fun. It made me hungry. I was definitely glad that I had just finished eating dinner when I watched it, because
Yeah, it's that kind of
it made
movie.
me it made me want to go and eat things. Um, but overall, yeah, no, it was a good time.
Cool, cool. So, final question to wrap up this week's book and this season's book reports. Based upon what you've heard today, Jordan, which is the better movie? Buried by Ryan Reynolds or Trump versus the Illuminati?
I mean, it varied. It's not a question. Yours sounds like it was written by a machine and has so many plot holes and things in it that it just it there's you know.
Also, remember how I said I was having trouble finding it? Yeah, it turns out it's on fucking Tubi. This episode is brought to you by Tubi. We love Tubi. Sponsor us, Tubi.
I mean, it is not brought to you by Tubi.
It
It is
could
brought to
be.
you by It's not brought to you by Tubi. It's brought to you by TrophySmack.com.
It could be brought to you by both of them. They could both bring the show.
One day, hashtag not sponsored by Tubi, hashtag would be sponsored by Tubi.
Would be. But that is the season finale book reports. It was a long one. Oh my goodness. That's okay. That's okay. It can be long.
Well, I mean, that's because they're not going to see us for a week, so they had to have this extra long episode to tide them over.
It's true.
And then they could go back and watch all the old episodes in the week while we're not here.
That's true.
And just keep hearing our sultry,
you guys can go back.
Sexy voices.
This is your opportunity to catch up because we're going to be gone for. We will be gone for a week. We will be back into. Hopefully.
So just go back and watch our old stuff and go and click on TrophySmack.com. Go to TrophySmack.com. Go buy some nice trophies, belts, rings. Go buy.
Okay. Time for the assignment for next week. Not next week. 2 weeks from now.
That's a free secondary advertisement for you there.
Yes. ASMR advertisements. Go to TrophySmack.com and you can get a belt or a trophy. ASMR. No. The assignment. So 2 weeks from now comes part 1 of our epic 2-part season premiere of season 2 of the Spur of the Moment podcast. Look forward to it. It's so large, 2 parts. Here's the topic. Because we're going to be traveling in the next week. We're going to be out of town. We're going to Japan. I mean, not us, literally. The show is going to Japan. So for 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about stuff from Japan. So week number 1, anime, animation. It doesn't have to be anime, but it can be anime. You can watch a show. You can play an anime-related video game. You can watch a movie that may be anime-like that is a video game. But as long as it's animated and it comes from Japan, it can also be in English. We can watch dubs for this week. For this first week, it's going to be our first week back from vacation. We're not looking for anything ultra challenging. You can watch dubs. You don't have to watch in Japanese. But then part 2, coming in 3 weeks. It's live action stuff. It's tokusatsu time, baby. I've already pre-challenged Jordan. He already has the material. Jordan will be watching for his haven't seen. I'm giving him a break. He only has to watch one thing. But for that haven't seen, he will be watching the series, Kamen Rider Forze. And he will be reporting back to me. He has 2 weeks. 3 weeks technically, to watch that. I will be selecting my own Kamen Rider series that I have not finished. I'm thinking either Ghost, Kamen Rider Ghost, maybe Kamen Rider X-Aid, maybe one of those. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Maybe something entirely that I haven't seen. Maybe I'll pick a Sentai. I don't know. I'm really thinking Kamen Rider. I promised Drew and I'd do Kamen Rider. As well as we're in this together. We're gonna fold in some. Maybe we'll watch a couple live action movies. For the stuff we haven't seen, and what got me started in all this, we may talk about some Godzilla. But 3 weeks, part 2 of our 2-part season premiere, live action stuff from Japan. Come back then. Please come back in 2 weeks. We're gonna be back. It's gonna be a good time. Season 2 is gonna be, and we're aiming higher, but to start, it's gonna be the same mostly. But if you like it, come back in season 2. We'll be back. Until then, it's time to wrap up the show. Once again, Jordan already gave a secondary ad, but let's thank our sponsors for the episode, TrophySmack.com. Link in the description below. Thank you to them for sponsoring us as always. Thanks to Jake and the Arate Podcast Network, as always, for getting us started. Lucky number 13 episodes. It's been a great time so far. We're looking forward to more in season 2, hopefully with less technical issues next season.
That would be nice.
But with that, you can contact the show via email. It's justinsbusiness@gmail.com. I have that in the description. You can follow our Discord. You can join our Discord where you can leave suggestions for anime while we're on vacation, or for live action Japanese stuff you want us to talk about. You can leave us suggestions there. That's also in the description. I'm on TikTok at Justin Spurr. Once again, description. You can click there, follow me there. I'm gonna be on vacation there as well. I've got some more videos coming out today. I'm probably gonna make a few more today and tomorrow. But starting tomorrow, I will be off. Starting Monday, I will be off for a week there as well. I will have my own hiatus. Normally, you could follow Jordan on Mondays at Jordan. Where?
ZethGore187 on Twitch. I do Minecraft Mondays, though this week, because I can't do it on Monday, I'll probably do it on Sunday.
Oh yeah,
tomorrow.
Okay. So he's gonna do Minecraft Monday a day early on Sunday, and then he will be off probably the next week as well. But he will be back with Minecraft Monday. Once again, if you go check out Minecraft Monday enough, he might stream other days. It can't be said. Who knows? We can't say for sure. You can't say for sure.
No one can predict the future.
But it could happen. It's possible.
It could.
But
it's possible.
Finally, and to wrap this up, thank you, Jordan, for joining me on this journey for our first season of our podcast, the Spur of the Moment podcast. This has been the season finale. We will see you all in 2 weeks. Have a good one.